days, weather will officially be hosting the 2034 Olympics, but the call for volunteers has already started.
We've got the event volunteers, which is VIP access control, but we're really wanting to get our technical volunteers.
Mary Reiser is the event and volunteer manager for the Utah Olympic Legacy Foundation. She says those volunteers will be able to get lots of practice as the different venues host world-class events over the next 10 years. And 6 Utah high schoolers are headed to Paris to participate in a global youth sports festival. The Deseret News reports that the group will join 500 other teenagers from 36 countries for a week of activities. And our top national story this hour from ABC News. Unemployment numbers are still low, but new numbers show a slight increase.
New signs of a softening labor market as jobless claims for the week ending July 13th increased by 20,000. Last week, the total number of Americans collecting any kind of unemployment benefit increased for the 10th time in 11 weeks, and more Americans, 1.87 million, are collecting these benefits now than at any time since November 2021.
That's ABC's Brian Clark reporting. Your money at this moment. The Dow is currently, looks like it is at zero at this moment. Coming up, we could have another chance of storms today. KSL weather's next. KSL News Time, 9:01.
News doesn't just mean information or dates.
It's the story of our local history being told in real time.
Be a part of the story. This is Tim Hughes and Amanda Dixon.
We hope to be a part of your story. We have you covered on KSL News Radio.
When it's hot like this, air conditioners struggle to keep up. Parts are under more stress, and sometimes those parts fail. What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and no one helps more homeowners maintain and repair their air conditioners than Any Hour Services. As a matter of fact, last year, over 32,000 homeowners called Any Hour Services for help maintaining and repairing their systems. Any Hour Services has over 100 HVAC technicians to help with everything from maintenance, repair, to installing a new system. This summer, there'll be a lot of people told they need to replace their air conditioner, and they'll wonder, do I really need to? If you're told you need to replace your air conditioner and you still have questions, Any Hour Services can give you a second opinion and let you know what options are available. Maybe it just needs a little maintenance or a small repair. Maybe it does need to be replaced, but if you don't feel good about being told you need to replace your air conditioner, don't ignore those feelings. Call Any Hour Services for help with air conditioner maintenance, repair, or to schedule a free second opinion. Google Any Hour Services or schedule online at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
It's camping season, and Motor Sportsland RV Centers are offering huge savings on your next RV. Don't miss another season of outdoor memories and adventure. Right now, you can save tens of thousands during our summer sales event offers, like our 17-foot bunk model Viking travel trailer, which is lightweight, easy to tow, and has all the necessities for only $15,995 with payment options as low as $165 a month. Or our 24-foot Thor Motor Coach Tiburon motorhome on a Mercedes Sprinter chassis for $68,000 off MSRP. These are real prices. We aren't like other dealers that advertise fake prices but then charge thousands for things that should already be included. If you sit down to make a deal and see an extra charge for freight or other creative fees or packages, you gotta get out of there. Save thousands with upfront pricing and get the RV of your dreams during Motorsportsland's summer sales event today. Adventure awaits.
Let Motorsportsland help you get away.
Motorsportsland.com.
Hey Utah! When it comes to guiding the growth of our state, you buzzed in with your comments, and we listened to what you had to say. Your feedback on the future of Utah's housing, water, transportation, and open space will continue to help our leaders make important policy decisions, preserving and improving our high quality of life in meaningful ways for years to come. So, thanks for speaking up. Learn more about our state's future at guidingourgrowth.utah.gov.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by Sinclair's Dino Pay. Save up to 20 cents per gallon. Let's check in with the KSL Traffic Center.
And we've got delays still southbound I-15 from Layton Parkway all the way through Kaysville due to a crash that's still going to be there for a while. Tow trucks are trying to upright a tipped over cement truck. So you've got the right lane and shoulder blocked there. But you still have some slowing as well. Northbound I-15 from 33rd South and South Salt Lake into downtown. And eastbound I-80 trying to exit at US 40 at Silver Creek Junction. The legendary Big O brand tire is on sale now during the Big O Tire Sizzling Summer Sale. Stop in to save up to $100 off the Bigfoot AT or Legacy tires. Big O Tires, the team you trust. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
And the clouds will come in later today, but it will still be hot. Highs will reach the upper 90s, but there is also a small chance of showers. Right now, it's 83 degrees in downtown Salt Lake City. I'm Alexandria Bonilla from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio.
It looks like we're just watching video of the Secret Service, Dave. You just pointed this out. Being confronted, the head of the Secret Service being confronted by what, GOP lawmakers?
Yeah, at the RNC, she was there and she was confronted by a number of congressmen.
At the Republican National Convention.
At the RNC, demanding that she step down and that she resign today, saying that she cannot hide. So there's a lot going on behind the scenes in the fallout of President Trump's assassination.
And we're going to go live to the Republican National Convention with our very own Adam Gardner, who is there. Maybe he witnesses. We will find out when he calls the show later on.
It's 9:06. It's time for the launch.
Sequence engaged.
And here are 3 things that Debbie wants you to know.
Countdown. 3.
Well, my money's on this, that they're really upset that the Secret Service, it's been confirmed by law enforcement and also lawmakers, knew 20 minutes before shots were fired at former President Trump at that rally that there was a gunman on the roof across from where Trump was standing. 20 minutes before. And that's not all. Turns out the local police department alerted the Secret Service 2 days before that they didn't have the manpower to secure that building. And that's not all either. There's more on the timeline. We're going to have it for you at 9:35, but here's a sneak peek.
It was indicated we did not have the manpower to, take that task on as well based on our number of officers on duty.
And that has been a concern of mine for a while. There is no question. It is a demanding schedule that the Secret Service have to take on. You've got candidates that are jumping on a plane and flying from spot to spot to spot. But if they are overwhelmed, if they can't do their job, then you have to shut down the event. You can't continue to move forward if it's unsecure. The risk has been there since the dawn of time, since the beginning of our nation. Assassination attempts have been happening. So if you can't do the job, then stop letting these candidates hold their rallies.
Countdown. 2.
Okay, we are in our penny pinching mode. A new survey showing Americans are going broke. More than a third of Americans now admitting they're squeezing by paycheck to paycheck. Surprisingly, in this survey, many don't blame Biden. They blame their employer.
Even working a full-time job, it's not enough. You have to have multiple ways of income. Otherwise, it's going to be hard. It just is.
It doesn't really matter if it's Biden, if it's the employer. The fact is, there's no easy fix. There's no simple fix out there. You can't just go in there and ask your employer to give you a 30% raise. That's what inflation has done over the last 3.5 years. That's impossible. So what can we do about it? That's where my mind goes. Okay, if nothing can change tomorrow, then what are we doing about it?
Launch. Countdown. 1.
The tsunami keeps growing every day, and it's about hitting the shoreline for President Biden. It's now being reported that Democratic leaders in the House and the Senate, both meeting with the president to discuss their members' concerns with him staying in the race.
It's like the nicest way to say it. Hey, President, we have a few things we want to talk about. No, this is a full-on mutiny. The mutiny is on. And the captain of the ship is the only one that doesn't realize it.
So let me ask you, are you all in? Because I'm all in.
You can be all in, but it looks like your party is all out.
Dave and Dujanovic.
The Launch.
Commence.
Dave and Dujanovic. Special coverage of the top national story.
Right. Adding to the tsunami that's almost hitting the shoreline. Senate Majority Leader and House Minority Leader both have met with the president in separate meetings. NBC News reporting that Chuck Schumer's no staff private conversation with the president was blunt. Presented the president with polling data, shows him losing to former President Trump, and that it also affects the races in the House and the Senate. So the fallout and the domino effect is a big concern, too.
And again, going back to the captain doesn't realize what's going on in the ship, the White House says the president told both leaders he is the nominee of the party. He plans to win, and he looks forward to working with both of them to pass his first 100 days agenda. But the New York Times is now reporting, this just happened a couple of hours ago, that Biden is being, what they quote, more receptive about why he should drop out.
He has also come down with COVID. It has been a bad run for President Biden, and it really all started during the debate. I mean, that debate just a few weeks ago, to me, was the turning point, and it might have been the little earthquake that's led to the bigger earthquake that's now causing this tsunami. So let's take you back just a short few weeks ago to that debate.
Making sure that we're able to make every single solitary person eligible for what I've been able to do with the COVID. With dealing with everything we have to do with. Look, if we finally beat Medicare, and I'm going to continue to move until we get the total ban on the total initiative relative to what we're going to do with more Border Patrol and more asylum officers. The idea that states are able to do this is a little like saying we're going to turn civil rights back to the states, let each state have a different rule. Look, there's so many young women who have been, including a young woman who just was murdered, and he went to the funeral. The idea that she was murdered by an immigrant.
Now, Debbie, you mentioned to me that, it's important to mention that President Biden has acknowledged that he's had a stutter.
Yes, he's acknowledged that.
I've also seen President Biden wax eloquent without a stutter for years. So the fact is, we can dismiss some of this as misspeaking, and I give a certain amount of latitude and grace because I know it's hard to get in front of a microphone and form coherent sentences all day, every day. If this was a one-off, if this was just an incident, then we could probably dismiss it. But it's not. It has been his entire presidency.
And this was truly, to me, the turning point when his own party started to question whether he should be at the top of their ticket, whether he should be on the ticket once again, or they should replace him with somebody else. And now, yesterday, we had a head count of about 20 lawmakers and Hollywood types have said, President Biden, come on, let's call it a day. And now we're adding more top leaders in the House and in the Senate to that list.
Adam Schiff, Representative Adam Schiff, he led the House Intelligence Committee. He led he was the chief prosecutor, so to speak, in Trump's second impeachment. He's the top Democrat to call directly, specifically for President Biden to step down. He kind of launched it with a donor meeting. He was meeting with donors. He said, I don't think, President Biden can win. He came out officially yesterday and said it is time to step down. So it's not just a few members. It is leadership in Congress that is calling for President Biden to step down.
And you said, taking a step back, the debate was not the first time that you felt that he is hit troubled waters with the way he presents.
And this is in part where when we're having this conversation, we need to look at the body of work, because if it was just, as President Biden had said, a bad day, he had a bad debate, that's fine. But then just a short time after, he introduced Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky as Vladimir Putin.
And now I want to hand it over to the President of Ukraine, ladies and gentlemen, President Putin. President Putin.
And then in the same...
You can beat President Putin.
Oh, yeah,
President
I
Zelensky.
mean that. I'm gonna name you as arch enemy. And then when he was asked a question about whether or not Vice President Harris is prepared and ready to take over the job as president if he were to step down, this is what he said.
I wouldn't have picked Vice President Trump to be vice president, but I think she was not qualified to be president.
It's painful.
And one of the most powerful statements I heard was in an essay from Hollywood actor George Clooney. He said, "We've got to stop telling 51 million Americans that saw that debate that their eyes are lying to them. We need to acknowledge what you saw is what is going on." And that's where you have seen this tsunami crashing onto the shores, and it's getting worse and worse for President Biden. But he has been defiant so far. He has said, I am the nominee. You guys stop talking about it and rally behind me. Stop fighting against me.
Inside Sources, Boyd Matheson walking in studio next with his take on the tsunami that's hitting the shore.
Dave and Dujanovic.
Current events can have a lot of moving parts. Our job is to make it easy to keep up.
You're part of a bigger world, so spend 15 or 20 minutes here and be part of it.
Join us weekday mornings between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
You know, I love it when something just clicks. I carried around way too much weight for way too long. Then everything changed. What clicked? For me, what clicked was Soda weight loss. SOTA stands for state-of-the-art because it is. It's state-of-the-art, and that is why it clicked for me. Having my own nutritionist and coach every step of the way clicked. Not worrying about counting things or mixing this and that, it clicked. Breaking bad emotional eating habits and replacing them with good, healthy habits that will stay with me forever, it just clicked. You know what else clicked? My belt. I lost 37 pounds in 90 days. As the pounds and inches fell away, my belt started to click. A lot. Who knew that the clicking from my belt would become the sound of my success every day for 2.5 years and counting? I always say that when it comes to your Soda weight loss journey, there's no time to lose, only time to win. So start winning today. Make the decision that will click for you and change every day for the rest of your life. Check it out at Soda Weight Loss, SOTAweightloss.com.
Donald Trump's first speech since the attempt on his life.
He essentially crumpled it up, tossed it away. His speech will now be focused more on unity.
Get full coverage before tonight's address, the Republican National Convention. Listen mornings and afternoons for the latest updates on KSL News Radio.
Stop paying 5-star pricing for 3-star service. It's time for a change. Welcome to Beehive Plumbing's Premier Experience. With our Beehive Premier plan, you have access to our VIP phone number and website to ensure prompt and reliable plumbing service by an expert 5-star technician. Why Beehive? Our Premier package comes with an industry-leading warranty, giving you up to 10 years of coverage on both parts and labor. Yeah, that's right, 10-year warranty. Call Beehive Plumbing today or visit beehivepremier.com for expert experience every time.
Live at the Eccles invites you to celebrate Christmas in July. The biggest and brightest holiday lineup goes on sale this Friday at 10 a.m.
The Eccles Theater is your family's destination again for the holidays this year. With
Gentry,
Jenny Oaksbaker,
Kurt Bester,
Mannheim Steamroller,
Matt and Savannah,
A Magical Cirque Christmas,
and Shrek the Musical.
Get tickets for your family. Visit liveeccles.com tomorrow at 10 a.m. liveeccles.com.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? You've got an oil change coming up. You can go farther and save on full synthetic with our oil change special. Right now, you can get 5 quarts of STP full synthetic oil with an STP extended life oil filter for just $29.99. Get the parts you need when you need them at AutoZone or AutoZone.com.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
As a roofer, I don't have time to fail. Homeowners rely on me, so I rely on Beacon. Beacon's unique network of branches work together to get me what I need when I need it. And with the Beacon Pro Plus app, I've got the brands I depend on, like GAF, right at my fingertips. Now through September 15th, purchase high-quality GAF with Beacon Pro Plus and earn up to $1,500. Go to BECN.com or download the Beacon Pro Plus app today. Beacon. always building.
For the right repair and the right paint, the right choice is manufacturer-certified Martins Collision Repair. Hi, I'm Tiago Martins, and few have met the rigorous certification by Kia, Ford, Infiniti, Chrysler, Jeep, Nissan, Hyundai, and many others. But it's one more reason that Martins is your right choice. Check online at martinscollision.com. On State Street in Orem and in Salem, we work with all insurance companies.
The right repair, the right paint, the right choice. Martin's Collision Repair.
Hi, I'm Jake Harward. I'm a farmer, and it's time to get your water boiling because Harward Farms green roadside stands are now open. Our locally grown non-GMO corn is picked and delivered fresh daily to our now open Harward Farms roadside stands. Whether you boil it, grill it, or wrap it in tinfoil and toss it in the campfire, it's the freshest and tastiest you'll find anywhere. Click online to harwardfarms.com for a list of locations for a familiar green roadside stands throughout Utah. Fresh from our family's farm to your family's dinner table. Harward Farms.
I'm allergic to email, which is probably proof of my 1,005 unread messages. I love texting. So, you guys, if you are like me and you love texting, make sure you check out the KSL text line. Text news to 57500 to get all the breaking news and up-to-date information that we provide here at KSL. Just text news to 57500.
The three things you need to know this hour. I'm Alexandria Bonilla. First, an overnight crash on I-70 left one man dead and a woman with serious injuries. UHP says the car veered off the road and rolled down an embankment. Second, a new study finds Utah has less people buying homes. Real estate analysts at Agent Advice says it's been about a 2% decrease since 2014. Third, Bear Lake is the latest location to implement fire restrictions. Fires are no longer allowed at campgrounds, but propane and charcoal for cooking are okay. Right now it is 83 degrees in Salt Lake City. Back to Dave and Dujanovic on KSL News Radio.
Dave and Dujanovic.
Now, the D.C. Dems may be turning on Biden, but from our conversation yesterday with the Utah Democratic Party, they're standing by President Biden to be at the top of the ticket.
President Biden himself has said that the first debate was not his best performance. You know, President Obama, his first debate in 2012 wasn't his best performance either. But it doesn't change the fact that they are still very strong candidates. Both President Obama was and President Biden is. And it also doesn't change the fact that President Biden is the only person who has beaten Donald Trump in a national race before.
I will say this, trying to compare the bad debate performance of President Obama to what we saw with President Biden, that doesn't make sense to me. It was the worst performance I've ever seen on the debate stage ever. It was painful to watch and to pretend like, everyone has a bad debate here and there, I think is just spinning a narrative that most of us just don't buy into.
And as you pointed out just a few moments ago, it wasn't just the debate. Then there's this moment regarding Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky when President Biden steps up to introduce him and
now I want to hand it over to the President of Ukraine, ladies and gentlemen, President Putin. President Putin. You've got big President Putin. President Zelensky.
That's a horrible, horrible gaffe.
Here's your arch enemy. I'm going to call you that. You can't. We all mess up names. My mom has called me my brother's name for 25 years. I mean, it happens. But if this were an isolated incident, we could dismiss it. But it is. It's happening just about every press conference where there's something that someone has to explain.
Boyd Matheson of Inside Sources live on the bat phone this morning. Good morning, Boyd.
Hey, how you guys doing today?
You calling us from an undisclosed location, I see. So it does appear from what we were reporting just a few moments ago that, leaders in the House and the Senate back in D.C. have been trying to convince Biden that he's not the best choice to be at the top of the ticket. What are your thoughts on how much impact this could potentially have on a decision from Biden?
Yeah, and I think we have to go back through exactly what you and Dave have been talking about in terms of the debate, the gaffes, the interviews with Lester Holt. There were just a a long string that if you're explaining, you're losing in politics is usually the rule. And there's been a lot of explaining going on, and that's all been a distraction. And you remember we talked about on this show that the thing that the president was hoping to do was to just make it to Monday of this week, so that all the focus would be on the Republicans and what might happen at the Republican convention. And then, of course, over the weekend, you had the assassination attempt on the former president. And it just seems that the current president can't quite get a break. I think former president has had the luckiest 3 weeks of his life, and I think the current president has had the unluckiest run the last 3 weeks. And now you had an interview on BET where President Biden started to say, well, if a doctor told me, that I had this condition or that, then I'd think about it. And then hours later, it's announced that he has COVID. And is heading back to Delaware to just recoup and self-isolate.
Yeah. In fact, we have a clip of that interview on BET with President Biden and Ed Gordon. Let's listen to what you're just referring to there, Boyd.
Is there anything that you would look to, you personally, not anybody else, not other pundits, not even perhaps family members, that you would look to say, if I see that, I will reevaluate?
If there had some medical condition that emerged, if the doctors came to me and said, you got this problem, that problem.
So Boyd, he does almost immediately afterwards get diagnosed with COVID. They say it's mild symptoms, that it's a little bit of a runny nose, and I kind of chuckle when they say that. That was a non-productive cough. So he's got a runny nose and a non-productive cough. But when we're talking about medical conditions, is he leaving himself an out?
Yeah, I think he's starting to reevaluate everything that's been going on. Of course, he was very defiant in many of the calls from members of his own party that he needed to step aside. And now I think the conversation has shifted. I think the conversation that he had with Chuck Schumer, the leader in the Senate, I think some of the back channel messaging that's coming from Nancy Pelosi, direct conversation with Hakeem Jeffries, they're no longer saying, Mr. President, you can't do this, because to that, Joe Biden, his natural instinct is going to be to fight it and to dig his heels in and go at it. They're framing the question that I think is the question that every politician and political leader should be asking, and that is, what is in the best interest of the country? And I think for the Democrats who have made the case that the former president has been a threat to democracy, that if that is indeed the question, and if that is the campaign that Democrats intend to run for the fall, then the president has to be the first one to ask that question. Am I the best one to preserve and protect democracy? And if he's not, then that allows the president with dignity and almost a Washingtonian, hey, I'm not indispensable or irreplaceable. That would leave him the space, I think, to be able to make that kind of decision. I'm not sure he will. I think he's still trying to just survive through this week. I think all of these conversations will pick up next Tuesday when I think things are going to get really intense, especially on the Democratic side of the aisle.
Boyd, in about the minute or so we have left on the game clock right now, who's the backup quarterback if he bows out?
Well, they're clearly going to start with the vice president for a number of reasons. She obviously has the positioning. She can sort of run as an incumbent. Most important, she has access to the Biden-Harris campaign treasure trove of cash, which no other candidate would have. They would not have access. They'd have to go and fundraise themselves as a new candidate. So clearly, Kamala Harris, as the vice president, has the inside track, although there's a lot of conversations about Wes Moore, a young governor from Maryland, as a counter there. Governor Whitman from Michigan. So there's a few other names that are starting to bubble up there.
Thanks,
Boyd Matheson, thank you so much for joining us, Boyd. And I do wonder how much this COVID diagnosis will affect. The one thing that comes to my mind is, listen, there was a lot of things we did with COVID where we handled it wrong. But the one thing we did learn, and the thing we know about COVID, is it affects those that are over 65. 80% of the deaths that happened in America, COVID deaths, were over the age of 65. The president is 81 years old. I don't think we can just dismiss the president coming down with COVID. Now, the White House has minimized it and said the symptoms are mild. He's already received an antiviral drug to help mitigate some of that. But the White House, I think, has also lost a lot of trust with us. I don't think we can listen to their expert analysis of the president's health and take a lot of stock in it.
Okay, we've got a lot of moving parts with this story. We've got the situation where Biden has been diagnosed with COVID. You just referenced that. We also have top leaders in the Democratic Party in both the House and the Senate seeming like they're trying to twist Biden's arm into reconsidering. So throughout the day, Boyd Matheson, Maria Chaleos, Jeff Kaplan, our full lineup of all stars, keeping track of those developments with the support of our producers and reporters in the newsroom. Straight ahead, the Secret Service knew 20 minutes before shots were fired at former President Trump, there was a gunman on the roof. And that's not all. Turns out, local PD alerted the Secret Service 2 days before they didn't have manpower to secure the building. And that's not all. The rest of the story next.
It's 9:31 at KSL News Radio. I'm Dan Thomas. KSL's top story this hour. A man is dead after a shooting in Canaraville. Police say this happened Wednesday night. The other man at the scene has been taken in for questioning, and their identities have not been released. One person died in a crash in Park City. Utah Highway Patrol says the driver lost control and hit a tree, and then the vehicle caught fire. This happened near Kearns Boulevard and Park Avenue. No one else involved in the crash. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. Ohio Senator J.D. Vance accepted his party's vice presidential nomination last night, promising to do what he can to propel Donald Trump back into the White House.
My name is J.D. Vance.
His mission was to connect with Republicans in the convention hall and Americans at home who were unfamiliar with him. Delegates like Dixon Wolf of Green Bay, Wisconsin say he was successful.
Obviously, he's new to the political scene, but he has an incredible story. It's powerful. He's a man that came from nothing.
Nielsen estimates that nearly 15 million people viewed at least part of the convention's second night. Wednesday's numbers are still being compiled. Jim Ryan, ABC News, Milwaukee.
Your money at this moment, the Dow Jones average down on the day right now, 141 points. The NASDAQ is down 189. And it looks like there's a good chance for a thunderstorm this afternoon. That's next. KSL News Time, 9:32.
You know what's great about KSL's traffic coverage? Trained traffic reporters and real listeners.
Trading information and making the commute safer and faster for everyone.
Every 10 minutes on the nines, we have you covered on KSL News Radio.
I never thought about being a donor, but when my daughter Susie was born with enlarged kidneys, it was an immediate concern. Lots of doctor appointments and getting educated on what we'd be facing for years to come. 14 years later, the day came when we were told that Susie would need a kidney transplant to save her life. She is here today because of a beautiful family that gave life.
Go to donorconnect.life and read about what it takes to become a donor. Did you know many people think that they're too old and not in good enough health to be a donor? This is far from the truth. If you were told that you could save a life for someone close to you, would you do it? What if it was just to save a life? Finding out more on why you should become a donor is pretty easy. DonorConnect.life can walk you through the process and what it takes to simply sign up. Check yes to become a donor when you renew your driver's license. Give hope, heal life. DonorConnect.life.
Welcome to Staples, young man. Tomorrow's my big day. Big day? First grade. Aw. Well, Staples has crayons, markers, glue. I need a laptop. Oh, yeah, sure. With Staples Hot Deals, you can save up to $300 on select PCs for school. Wait. The finances are Mom's department. Right. I'm looking for performance, like a Core i7 processor. Boy, first grade has really changed. Tell me about it.
Save big on tech for school with super low Staples Hot Deals. Right now, get up to $300 off select PCs at Staples. Ends 8/24.
This is the story of the one. As head of maintenance at a concert hall, he knows the show must always go on. That's why he works behind the scenes, ensuring every light is working, the HVAC is humming, and his facility shines. With Grainger's supplies and solutions for every challenge he faces, plus 24/7 customer support, his venue never misses a beat. Call quickgranger.com or just stop by. Granger, for the ones who get it done.
In a world where ugly siding, leaky gutters, and inefficient windows are sapping homeowners of their will to live, one company must save us all. This year, join RGS Exteriors as it embarks on a mission to eliminate outdated home exteriors, one Utah home at a time. Every plank of old, ugly siding must be replaced. Every leaky gutter must be eradicated. Every inefficient, energy-sapping window must be vanquished. Once and for all. Begin your epic remodeling quest by calling RGS Exteriors for a free estimate. Discover how a heroic team of experts will save your siding, gutters, or windows for a fair, no-nonsense price. Call RGS Exteriors at 801-280-3110 or journey online to rgsexteriors.com. RGS Exteriors, coming soon to a home near you.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Sinclair's DinoPay app. Save up to 20 cents per gallon. And here's Heather Kelly.
Well, drivers in Draper will need to find an alternate route to I-15. This is on 123rd South heading eastbound. So if you're coming over from either Redwood Road or 1300 West, you have to find an alternate route at 265 West. Police are directing traffic in the area as the lights are not working. They've been broken. So just be aware you need to go over to either 104th South or Bangor Highway to get onto I-15. You do still have slowdowns southbound I-15 up in Davis County from Layton Parkway through all of Kaysville due to a crash. Is the IRS harassing you? Are tax problems ruining your life? Let Utah Tax Attorney Jordan Wilcox help. Visit taxhelput.com. That's taxhelput.com. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
Well, the clouds come in later today. It'll still be hot. Highs will reach the upper 90s, and there is a chance of thunderstorms. And right now, 83 degrees and sunny. I'm Dan Bomas from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories. On KSL News Radio, Trump assassination attempt. Special coverage with Dave and Dujanovic.
The Secret Service has a lot of questions to answer. And one of them, the most important one in my view, is why 20 minutes went by. 20 minutes is how long we now know the Secret Service knew a gunman was atop that roof across from former President Trump at the rally in Pennsylvania. There's a new timeline, Dave. It reveals that the Secret Service, according to lawmakers and law enforcement familiar with this situation, Secret Service spotted him at 5:52, the gunman. Shots were fired at 6:12.
And this kind of criticism doesn't come lightly. There's not a tougher job out there. You are literally being hired on to be a human shield. It's the worst job description ever, that if bullets start flying, your job is to take the bullet. There is this zero failure expectation, understandably so, but there's a zero failure expectations, and the consequences of failing will shake the nation to its core. So who wants to sign up for that job? That being said, no excuses.
And the Secret Service head being chased around the Republican National Convention last night. This from Senator Marsha Blackburn's X account.
This is exactly what you were doing today
This
on the
was
call.
an
Stonewalling.
assassination attempt. You owe the people answers. You owe President Trump
It's GOP senators chasing Secret Service Director Kimberly Cheadle last night during the RNC.
This is exactly what you were doing today
This
on the
was
call.
an
Stonewalling.
assassination attempt. You owe the people answers.
It very well could be that this new timeline that's been released, and we're going to go through it ourselves in just a moment here, is what's sparking the GOP senators to get on her, to pressure her, and even go so far as to ask for her resignation.
And yesterday there was a Senate briefing from the Secret Service, and Kimberly Cheadle, who runs the Secret Service, only allowed 4 questions. There were only 4 questions, and Senator Ron Johnson is saying, what are you talking about? 4 questions. And he sent out a list of a dozen plus questions that he wants answered. The problem is, I get it, there's an investigation that is still going on, but if we are finding out more through cell phone video than what is being released from the Secret Service, you are absolutely mismanaging this on a level that is catastrophic.
Let's get to that timeline. And maybe that she'll find time to answer more than 4 questions some point in the very near future. So we now know, as I just said a few minutes ago, that the gunman was spotted on the rooftop. Officials saying the snipers spotted the suspect, the 20-year-old, on the roof of the building outside the security zone, which the building was outside the security zone, at 5:52 p.m. The shooting happened at 6:12. So that was 20 minutes that the Secret Service had an opportunity to tell the former president, you're not going on stage tonight, sir. There's suspicious activity. There's a man on a rooftop, and he's got a line of sight to the podium. But that's not all. ABC News' Andrea Fuji breaks down the timeline even more. They spotted this person of interest an hour and 2 minutes prior to the shots being fired.
At 5:10 p.m., Crooks is first identified as a person of interest, a full 62 minutes before the first shots. At 5:30, he's spotted with a rangefinder, which can be used to determine distances for target practice. At 6:02, Trump takes the stage. 6:12, Crooks fires those shots. A sniper then killed Crooks 26 seconds after he fired the first shot.
Debbie, I'm watching video right now on Fox News that is showing the shooter climbing up on the roof. We have seen that. I saw another video that had him lurking near that building that he ultimately climbed up on. There is nobody around him. He stands out like a sore thumb. I mean, he is clearly out of place. And as we are learning, they recognized it. They knew it. They had circulated a picture of Thomas Crooks. They were looking for him. And all of this is happening, and they just let President Trump get up on stage.
And they left the building unsecure. So that building that was right across from the rally, 150 yards from where the president was standing and began delivering those remarks, was not secure. And we know that thanks to KDKA's reporting in Pennsylvania. Jennifer Barrasso is a reporter there. Now, remember that the local police department kind of caught wind of what was going on, and one local police officer gave a boost to another local police officer, kind of like you did on the 3rd grade playground when you were trying to get your buddy up to the monkey bars, so they could hang. The monkey gives them a boost, and the one cop kind of shimmies himself, Spider-Man style, it sounds like, up the side of the building to grab onto the roof to peek over. The gunman then turns the rifle on the cop, which may have very well rushed the gunman into firing a shot. But he doesn't fire at the cop. The cop has to take cover, eventually tumbles to the ground, hurts his ankle. But they were supposed to have cops on that roof, and they determined that the roof of that building was too sloped, that the cops needed to be in the building. So my understanding from KDKA's reporting, Dave, is that there were 2 officers, 1 or 2 officers inside the building with no access to the roof. But that's not all. Cops had told the Secret Service a couple of days before that they did not have the manpower to secure that building. So let's listen to Jennifer Barrasso's report.
It was indicated we did not have the manpower to, take that task on as well based on our number of officers on duty.
Butler Township Manager Tom Knights confirms that message was sent to the Secret Service 2 days before the Trump rally. Butler Township also told them their team could only handle traffic control. KDKA has also learned the Secret Service never responded to those messages.
And do you know what happened in terms of the security plan for that area?
I don't. All I know is our township police department was very clear that we did not have the manpower for it.
And since then, nobody from the Secret Service has resigned or stepped down. We don't know of any police officer that has been fired so far. But the Secret Service is pointing the finger at local police and saying that it is their failure. I want to know what kind of role and what kind of training happens when Secret Service comes into town. I realize they don't have endless resources. They don't come in with a battalion of Secret Service agents everywhere they go. They've got to use local police. But I want to talk to somebody that has worked with the Secret Service and find out what kind of training, what kind of communication happens when a politician, a high-profile politician, comes to town. We'll talk to a former law enforcement chief, Chief Burbank, who has done this very thing, has worked with the Secret Service, and he can walk us through what his experience is and what his training has been like with the Secret Service. Next.
Dave and Dujanovic.
Here's a trick to podcasting at work and getting all the Utah news you love.
Download the KSL News Radio app.
The podcast for Utah's morning news and Dave and Debbie are right there. Dozens of podcasts a day.
That's the app for KSL News Radio.
We have some exciting news for you. Master Electrical Service has joined with Mountain Home Services.
And you've had some great luck with Mountain Home Services in the past.
They installed my furnace years ago. They've serviced it, and it works beautifully. They breathe life into it if it was ever starting to act up. So I've had very, very good experiences with Mountain Home Services.
Now that Master Electrical Service has teamed up with Mountain Home Services, of course, Master Electrical has always been your trusted source for all your electrical needs. Well, now they can also help you with your HVAC, your heating, your air, your plumbing.
It's the kind of one-stop shopping that I'm looking for, Deb, with Mountain Home Services. They still offer this upfront pricing guarantee. Now, if you're wondering, well, what does that mean? You've probably been bitten in the past by bids. People come out, they give you a bid for a job, and then when you actually get the invoice, there's not exactly the same number. They will guarantee the bid price and then the invoice that you will pay.
And there's always a 100% satisfaction guarantee as well. Master Electrical Service has been the name you trust since 1954. They are the company we trust, and so can you.
Yeah, check out Mountain Home Services by going online to mountainhomeutah.com. That's mountainhomeutah.com.
Or give them a call, 801-543-2222. Again, 801-543-2222.
KSL Broadcast Group contests are open to participants 13 years of age and older that are residents of Utah, Idaho, Wyoming, and Nevada, unless otherwise specified. Employees or agents of the station, Bonneville International Corporation, or other area radio stations, or any entity associated with the contest may not enter. Persons who have won in the last 90 days from the station contest or event are not eligible. Full general contest rules are available at kslnewsradio.com.
Wow. Biden's at it again.
Inflation, rising costs for everything. What now?
Try big government control of our Medicare drug benefit.
The more I hear, the more it seems we can't afford Biden's Medicare agenda.
They're right. And it's because seniors are already feeling the pain of Biden's drug coverage changes, with almost 2 million forced from their plans and spiked premiums for nearly 5 million more. Now, Congress wants to expand the Biden Medicare agenda even more. But studies show Biden's plan will restrict access, shrink coverage, and limit availability of needed drugs for all seniors. Thankfully, Congressman Blake Moore is a champion for Medicare drug coverage. Call him at 202-224-3121. Urge him to stop Biden's radical Medicare changes by opposing H.R. 4895 now. Paid for by Seniors for Better Care.
The Good Feet Store. The life you love starts here.
At Fisher Investments, we may seem like other money managers, but we're different.
What makes you so different than the rest of us?
We ensure clients receive unparalleled service at every step of the relationship.
Tell me more.
Our investment counselors focus on service over sales, prioritizing clients' needs.
How do you make money?
We don't sell any commission-based products. We have a simple management fee based on the value of our client's portfolio. So we do better when our clients do better.
What about client portfolios?
We get to know each client, their finances, family, health, lifestyle, and more. And then we tailor a portfolio based on their specific goals and needs.
Your clients really come first then, huh?
Yes, we make them a top priority. Our goal is helping them achieve a comfortable retirement.
Wow, maybe we are different.
At Fisher Investments, we're clearly different. Learn more at FisherInvestments.com.
Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
With the three things you need to know this hour, I'm Dan Bomas. First, more than 50 people have died on Utah roads since the start of the 100 deadliest days. Second, Utah's the second least eco-friendly state in the nation, that being attributed to poor air quality, high emissions, and elevated energy consumption. Third, we could get some pop-up thunderstorms this afternoon, but it'll stay hot with highs in the upper 90s. 83 degrees and sunny in Salt Lake City. Back to Dave and Dujanovic on KSL News Radio.
Dave and Dujanovic. Trump assassination attempt. Special coverage with Dave and Dujanovic.
Well, given, Dave, that we now know that, according to the timeline, Secret Service agents knew that there was a gunman on the roof across from the rally of where President Trump was standing just the other day before shots were fired. They knew 20 minutes before. To me, that's plenty of time to tell the former president, sorry, we've got to cancel this rally, or we got to keep you off stage right now for a few minutes because we spot something really suspicious, a gunman on the roof over there.
And so often when breaking news happens, we just start interviewing in the news business. We just start interviewing people, eyewitnesses. Hey, did you see anything? And people will typically say, yeah, I saw this, I saw that. We couldn't confirm, it's hard to confirm stuff, as it's breaking. What we have found, though, Debbie, is all of these claims of seeing the gunman, seeing him crawling across, all of that has played out to be exactly how it was described in the moment. And we are seeing more and more video surface. I just saw a brand new video that shows the shooter climbing up onto the roof. You see him climbing up onto the roof, and people are recording this and shouting to police saying, there's a man on the roof.
Now, when the Secret Service brings a former president to town, or the president or the VP to town, they certainly work with local law enforcement. And in the beginning of all this, we didn't really know who was responsible for securing that building across the street or nearby, 150 yards. I don't know if it was actually a street in between, but the gunman was able to access that rooftop, have a clean shot to the former president at the podium, 150 yards away, a football field and a half. And as KDKA in Pennsylvania has started to unravel the circumstances surrounding, what was local PD's responsibility and what was the Secret Service's responsibility, they've been able to uncover, according to township authorities in the Butler Township area, that the locals had notified the Secret Service 2 days before that they did not have the manpower to actually secure that manufacturing warehouse near, where the gunman accessed the rooftop. They told them, and then they never heard back.
It was indicated we did not have the manpower to, take that task on as well, based on our number of officers on duty.
Butler Township Manager Tom Knights confirms that message was sent to the Secret Service 2 days before the Trump rally. Butler Township also told them their team could only handle traffic control. KDKA has also learned the Secret Service never responded to those messages.
And now the Secret Service is pointing fingers and blaming local police. So I wanted to hear from somebody that's actually worked with the Secret Service what kind of training happens and what kind of planning happens behind the scenes. Chris Burbank joins us right now, former Salt Lake City Police Chief. Chief Burbank, thanks for joining us. You've worked with the Secret Service in the past.
Many, many times. In fact, I did nothing but work on Olympic security for 2 years in my career with the Secret Service. I moved into their office, so I'm familiar with the partnership that takes place.
So what happens when they come in, they tell you this is the politician, this is the high-profile person that could be in danger. How do they communicate with you and coordinate?
Well, it is very coordinated, right? So you get together. I mean, there's planning. As far out as the event's taking place and where it's taking place, you start to design and develop a security plan for that. For the Olympics, it was years out. For an event like this, it was probably months out, maybe weeks out. for the RNC or the DNC, years out. And so it is a very long, sophisticated security plan that goes into place. I need to say, though, I think this is really important. There's two things, right? One is you don't know it's a shooter until he's a shooter, right? You have suspicious circumstances, so you can't just shoot people in those circumstances. And then also, whenever you run an event, there is always a limit to your resource, a limit to your perimeter, and what you're trying to do is minimize the risk, not eliminate it. And so it's always a challenge. But when there's a failure of the system, right, and something bad happens, it's everybody's responsibility because it is a joint effort to protect an individual or an event like that.
Retired Chief of Police for the Salt Lake City Police Department, Chris Burbank, live on the line with us. I want to read to you from an ABC News article that has tracked the timeline, and it says that officials said the snipers spotted the suspect, 20-year-old Thomas Matthew Crooks, on the roof of a building outside the security zone at the rally on Saturday at 5:52 p.m., and that the shooting happened at 6:12 p.m., 20 minutes later. That's 20 minutes of failure in my book. What is that in your book?
Well, the challenge that you have, right, is so you have a long rifle person who identifies a potential problem, right? If the person had a gun, that individual would have engaged them at that point, right? That is a target that you can then shoot. But until you see that, you have someone on, and just so you understand, right, it could be somebody who just wants to see the event and couldn't get a ticket. There's all kinds of different things that it goes into that you have to verify. The question I have more than, the delay on the part of long rifle positions is why did nobody go investigate that? Right? Why was not someone sent immediately to say, hey, wait a minute, there's somebody on the roof. Let's go find out what's going on here. And then you have this person who's identified them actually covering the situation from a long distance, but 150 yards for those individuals' talent is easy to do.
As campaigns and campaign season has ramped up, and oftentimes candidates, whether it's Trump or Biden, they will hit multiple locations, different states, day to day, week over week. It is so much. Is it overwhelming to try to do a comprehensive job when you have so much, change from week to week?
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, it is miserable to cover all that. And then you need to remember, too, Trump presents an unusual circumstance because he's a former president, so he already has Secret Service security detail in place all the time to begin with. And so the level of security for that individual is even higher because of his former status. And so that creates a whole different challenge. And it really is labor intensive, and it is just a huge planning nightmare to try and figure every single spot out and every possible contingency. Now, that's not an excuse, right? We shouldn't be making excuses. We need to hold accountable if we did wrong, but it's a challenge.
Do you bristle at all that the Secret Service is starting to blame local police for the failure?
Well, we've developed into heads have got to roll for every circumstance that takes place. And unfortunately, sometimes bad things happen that we can't prevent. And that is really hard for us to comprehend, but it does happen. Now, if there's mistakes, if there's failure in the process, right, we need to identify those and potentially hold people accountable. But, boy, we play a blame game really quick that everyone knows it's not our fault, it's not our fault, it's not our fault. Well,
Chief, I just want to ask you, we've got about 30 seconds. There was this message that went to the Secret Service from local PD that they didn't have the resources to protect that building that was oh so close and in the line of sight of that podium where the former president was standing. Where's the breakdown there? Secret Service, they say, never got back to them about that.
Well, so I can verify, right? If there was no communication takes place, that's a breakdown. But it may have been determined that that building was outside where they needed to be or line of sight. I mean, there's a bunch of things that I need to know before I condemn anyone or praise anyone for that matter. But, it's one of those things that if nobody communicated back and forth, then that is a failure, right? We should be communicating.
Chief Burbank, thank you for joining us, former Salt Lake City Police Chief.
Straight ahead, we're going to take a turn into a new survey that just got released where Americans are admitting they're living paycheck to paycheck, but they don't blame Biden. We'll tell you who they do blame next.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, we're counting down 6 days until the historic announcement, Salt Lake City 2034.
It's 10 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Britt Johnson. KSL's top story this hour, new data shows bicycle crashes are going up. At the same time, bike riders aren't wearing helmets as often. Advocates are now calling on bicyclists to buck that trend. Levi Roberts tells KSL he believes his helmet saved his life when he got hit by a truck in Cache Valley about a year ago.
The lasting injury I had was a broken tibia, and I had 2 pins placed in it. I had surgery. Kind of put my leg back together.
Police are also calling on drivers to slow down and be alert. They're also encouraging bicyclists to wear reflective clothing and have reflectors on their bikes. There's an increased risk of flash flooding in southern Utah national parks and recreation areas. According to a National Weather Service alert, it's recommended to check in with visitor centers or ranger stations before heading to those areas. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. Prime Day sales surged this week. ABC's Brian Clark says the numbers reflect new trends in the way America shops.
Prime Day's record haul was expected, $14.2 billion over the 2 days, according to Adobe Analytics. What opened eyes, the near even split between people shopping on desktops and mobile devices. Smaller screen buyers spent $7 billion over the 2 days, helping to continue the boost for online shopping. Amazon expects users to spend more than $84 billion this month and $732 billion through the first 9 months of the year. Brian Clark, ABC News.
Your money at this moment, things in the red. The Dow has lost 259 points. The S&P is down 43 points, and the NASDAQ is off 209 points. Coming up, we'll take a look at those hot temperatures. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 10:01.
We hope you have the right app on your phone for news. You probably have dozens.
But the KSL News Radio app, well, it makes our live stream super easy.
Plus, our talk shows are right there as podcast for your workday.
That's the app for KSL News Radio.
Hey, have you saved more than $200,000 in an IRA or 401k? You may not realize it now, but you've got a big problem on your hands. And that problem is taxes. Because if you don't take advantage of some tax planning strategies now, Uncle Sam could take a big chunk of your hard-earned retirement savings. Learn how you could reduce the taxes on your IRA and 401k with a free retirement tax savings analysis. It's from Boss Retirement Solutions. If you've saved more than $200,000, schedule your free tax strategy session now by calling 801-896-9622. Discover the tax planning strategies that could dramatically reduce your taxes in retirement. Call 801-896-9622. That's 801-896-9622.
Advisory services offered through Boss Retirement Advisors, an SEC registered investment advisory firm. Insurance products and services offered through Boss Retirement Solutions.
Hey there, it's Julie from Logan, where we know how to celebrate summer. First, something super cool when it's really hot. Logan has a brand new plaza downtown with music and games and a splash pad for kids. I mean, I said kids, but hey, we don't judge. Jump in. Keep it cool by stepping inside one of 3 historic theaters for more than 250 professional live performances in 5 weeks. Wow, nobody does that. But we do, because we're Utah's heart of the arts. Chill on Center Street before or after the show and sink your teeth into sourdough pizza, a brew and a burger, hand-dipped chocolates, or other delicious goodies from fun cafes. Don't forget, your hotel is only 10 minutes from the National Forest for hiking and biking. Take gorgeous photos of the stunning scenery and enjoy cooler temperatures in the canyon. Step back in time at the American West Heritage Center. You can hang out with a mountain man, have a pony ride, meet pioneers, and check out the farm. We've got a lot going on. Check us out at explorelogan.com. Inside or out, we're always a few degrees cooler. ExploreLogan.com. ExploreLogan.com.
You've been working so hard to keep your lawn and garden looking good. Maybe it's time to make your home look incredible with new window frames and double pane glass from Advanced Window Products. If you can imagine it, they can create it at their factory in Salt Lake City. Any style, any color, security enhancements to keep your family safe. All this and factory direct pricing. You're buying local and paying less. So seal up your home and reap the energy savings with Advanced Window Products, where they've been creating windows for 38 years. No subcontractors, they're not resellers. They build the windows, they install the windows, and they guarantee them for life. And right now at their summer special, get an extra $2,500 off on 10 windows or more. They offer 0% financing and even buy now, pay later. Busy season's just hitting. Call now. Advanced Window Products, $2,500 off. But you have to call 801-850-9100. That's 801-850-9100. Or go to advancedwindowsusa.com.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Sinclair's DinoPay app. Save up to 20 cents per gallon. Here's Heather Kelly.
Traffic is still at a crawl southbound I-15 from Layton Parkway all the way into Farmington. It's due to an earlier cement truck that rolled and is taking a lot of time to get enough vehicles in to upright that cement truck. So you're still going to have significant delays going through much of Davis County this morning. And then also 123rd South eastbound heading toward I-15 is shut down right now. Police are on scene directing traffic, but you need to find an alternate route to I-15 from Redwood Road. Hey, Utah, summer has come alive. All better in a new vehicle from Murdoch Chevrolet. Right now, take up to $10,000 off a new Silverado 1500 or $11,000 off a Blazer EV. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
High temperatures getting to 100 today, and monsoon moisture could combine for intense thunderstorms and flash flood potential this afternoon and this evening. It will dry out, but stay hot through the weekend. Right now, it's 86 degrees and sunny. I'm Britt Johnson from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio.
A new survey shows a lot of Americans are willing to admit they're just about broke. 34% in this new Bankrate survey say they're living paycheck to paycheck.
I have to work nonstop. I'm a full-time driver going up and down San Diego all the way up to LA and back 4 times a week, 10-hour shifts. And then I also cover the Tennessee Titans. Even working a full-time job, it's not enough. You have to have multiple ways of income. Otherwise, it's going to be hard. It just is.
I'm exhausted listening to that.
That's a busy schedule. And I think we've all experienced it. I just went to the store the other day. I bought a bag of chicken for $10, some fresh vegetables. Next thing I know, $65. And this is what you're experiencing. I can't get out even buying a little milk and cheese and eggs without spending at least $50. So we're experiencing it every single day.
Do you measure your grocery budget by the bag?
No, I
do that all the time.
The bag of cash?
No, the tiny bag that they give you, the plastic bag they give you at the grocery store. If you fill up 2 of them for like under $50 these days, it feels like a win. I've always measured my grocery
by the
budget,
bag.
like how successful I was or was not at the grocery store, by how many bags I get out of there with, divided by the amount I spent. It is just wearing people down, and surprisingly, in a moment, I'm going to get into this detail. Not everybody blames President Biden and inflation.
I work full time. He works more than full time. I don't know what to do.
But it's no matter who you blame or what you blame, it's stressful.
There's no question it's stressful. And I will say, in my own family, we are so hesitant, even when money is tight, we are hesitant to make big changes. We are so hesitant. We won't cancel that Netflix account to save our lives. We won't find a cheaper, slower internet, for any reason whatsoever. We won't eat rice and beans and simplify, and we won't stop going out. We sabotage ourselves, and I keep scratching my head thinking, why do we do this? Why don't we just make those changes? Because the changes are hard.
Yeah. I mean, Look, when you're especially in the throes of raising young kids, and they don't get any less expensive. That's a spoiler alert. It gets more and more expensive. I've had many moments, like you can hear in this person's voice.
I work full time. He works more than full time. I don't know what to do.
And you see videos like this. This one's from TikTok, all over social media. 34% of Americans saying they're living paycheck to paycheck. That is a huge number. And to your point, Dave, I feel like a lot of us can get in this mode where we feel stuck, or we get a little bit ahead and then somebody breaks an elbow, right? Or, the air conditioning bill drove up the electric bill an extra $100. And so
Tires go out.
The tire goes out.
Registration.
You read my mind. Yeah, the tire blows at all the wrong times. It's when you're broke, the tire just blows, and it's like, now you're really broke. Oh, and by the way, you can't just buy one. You got to buy all four. Surprisingly, though, and I thought this one would be a shocker to you, not everybody out there who participated in this bankrate survey blames President Biden. I mean, that is the drumbeat we hear, right? It's inflation. It's inflation. Oh, and it's Biden's fault. we don't look any further back. We blame President Biden. We've heard that. But according to this survey, almost 25% of those asked feel it's because of their employer. They're not being compensated enough for the job they do.
I've been there. No question. I felt like they're probably getting more out of me than what they're paying me. I've felt that way. I've also blamed myself and thought, well, just leave. Go work somewhere else. If you're not happy, Dave, then just leave. But I don't, because of convenience or the unknown. I'm a little scared. I'm comfortable. I've made all the reasons.
Relate to that. I think everybody's listening, and me. We can all relate to that. So
where you're just saying, you know what? I can just tough it out. Maybe I'll work for a discount. But it doesn't surprise me that a quarter of people don't feel that they're fairly compensated. But you know what? If you flip that around, 3/4 of people think, you know what? I'm being paid fairly.
Well, they might be blaming, I'm not sure they all are, but they're probably blaming
something else.
They're looking at D.C., Yeah. They're looking at the cost of groceries have gone up. The cost of childcare has gone up. The cost of car insurance, homeowners insurance, everything has gone up. And so any money you were able to save or put away is being eaten up by the cost of inflation.
Those are really great examples, and I think we do. We blame a million different things. I do wonder how often we do blame ourselves, and we ask ourselves, are we really searching for the best car insurance? Are we shopping that around? Are we clipping coupons? Are we sacrificing money for time? Because we don't want to put in that extra effort to clip coupons and look for the best deal.
We're playing victim.
I wonder how much of that.
A lot.
I can blame myself.
Me too.
I will look at inflation. I will look at my boss. I will look at the cost of eggs and those. They're gouging me for milk. I will blame everybody, but it's hard for me to look in the mirror and say, "All right, buddy, do you need the ribeye steak?" Or can you go with chicken? Or can you buy the cheaper cut of meat? No, I don't like to chew my way through beef stew meat, right? I don't want to gnaw my way through that gristle.
Let me bounce this number off you. This Bankrate survey says that Americans feel they need to earn $186,000 a year to feel financially comfy.
I do. That's kind of an insane number. Like, I don't know what your expectation is, folks. If you think you got to pull in $200,000 to feel financially comfortable, I think you're living too high. You got to simplify your tastes a little bit. If you think $200K is what makes you feel financially comfortable.
What's the comfort zone for you? Just off the top of your head. You don't have to pull out the calculator and do the math. You don't have to cancel your Audible subscription.
Yeah, I think
for this.
if you're six figures, I think if you're 100, if you're over 100,000,
between you and your partner, or you if it's okay.
Now, are you living in the lap of luxury? No,
not anymore.
Not anymore.
Maybe 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah. I think $200,000.
What's so crazy is that I can remember when I felt like 6 figures.
Yeah, it's true.
She makes 6 figures. Who makes 6 figures? And now most Americans feel like you need to make almost, $200K a year to be financially comfortable.
And in Utah, we've broken this down and we've done some research and determined if you want to be a homeowner, then you need to be making about $130,000 a year. So that was an aha moment. Some of this, hey, you got to make 6 figures, that's a good life. That's a dated number and maybe something that we've been had stuck in our brain for a long time because we've been working for so long. Maybe the new kids, our children that come into it, they have a different idea of what things cost.
So are you afraid to ask the boss for a raise?
Never done it. Like I've never walked in.
That's a yes.
Yeah.
Dave's a scaredy
Heck
cat.
Yeah. Biggest chicken out of here.
Kevin, he doesn't want to ask you for a raise. All right. Hey, I think you're not alone. I think a lot of us get nervous when we start to sweat. I will quit before I go in there and beg for a raise. We're going to take your live phone calls, 801-575-TALK. Have you ever asked your boss for a raise so you could stop living paycheck to paycheck? It's 34% of Americans now saying they are living paycheck to paycheck. But I think a lot of Americans are like you and me. We're afraid to go in there and demand a raise. Have you done it? What was the fallout? Was it a success? 801-575-TALK. We're going to take your live calls. I've also got the how-to guide, Dave. It's 75 pages long. How to ask your boss for a raise as our boss walks by and tells us, you're out. 801-575-TALK. Your live calls next.
Dave and Dujanovic.
A lot of us are filling our workdays with podcasts.
When you're working, go to KSLNewsRadio.com.
Click on Dave and Debbie's podcast and pick a topic and story length.
Podcast with Dave and Debbie. Then get to work with KSL News Radio.
Utah has some of the hardest water in the nation. Let that sink in. So the water that just naturally comes into your home, what we pipe into your house, it is hard water. You probably notice it when you're taking a shower and the scum that builds up on your shower walls, and then you need a jackhammer to try to get it all off. When you open up your dishwasher and you've got all these hard water stains on your glasses that you're trying to clean off, it makes them look dirty. They're not sparkly and clean, so you're kind of embarrassed to serve other people. Soft water, in Connecticut, soft water specifically, has changed the way we live our lives. It's been so great, not just for cleaning, but it's been great for our skin. We really struggle with dry skin in our family, and soft water has made all the difference. We love having soft water. If you're interested in finding out how soft water affects you and your family and whether or not you should make the investment in your home, and that's how I look at it. I look at it as an investment in your home. Give Connecticut of Utah a call, 801-576-8600. That's 801-576-8600. They're an authorized Connecticut dealer, or you can check them out online at softwaterutah.com.
You'll remember where you were when the historic announcement is final.
Tim is going to Paris.
Yeah, I'll be on the air every day, Monday through Friday.
Join us for day-long coverage Tuesday and all of the details and reaction Wednesday. Salt Lake City 2034, live from Paris, next week on KSL News Radio.
It's camping season, and Motorsportsland RV Centers are offering huge savings on your next RV. Don't miss another season of outdoor memories and adventure. Right now, you can save tens of thousands during our summer sales event offers, like our 17-foot bunk model Viking travel trailer, which is lightweight, easy to tow, and has all the necessities for only $15,995 with payment options as low as $165 a month. Or our 24-foot Thor Motor Coach Tiburon motorhome on a Mercedes Sprinter chassis for $68,000 off MSRP. These are real prices. We aren't like other dealers that advertise fake prices but then charge thousands for things that should already be included. If you sit down to make a deal and see an extra charge for freight or other creative fees or packages, you gotta get out of there. Save thousands with upfront pricing and get the RV of your dreams during Motorsportsland's summer sales event today. Adventure awaits.
Let Motorsportsland help you get away.
Motorsportsland.com.
Jeff Kaplan here with Josh Moore from IWC Roofing. Josh, on our show yesterday, you made a very special offer for our listeners.
$2,000 off an entire roof purchase. It's by far the largest promo that we've ever ran in almost 30 years of business. And in addition to that, we can actually do financing. So not one or the other, but we can combine the two.
So you're going to keep it going an extra day, but why IWC Roofing?
The question is, why not IWC Roofing? We're the highest rated roofing contractor in the state. We've been in business for 30 years, and hands down, because of the volume that we do and this additional promo that we're running, we will get you the best value out there on a new roof purchase, guaranteed.
And they'll do your entire roof in one day. Get $2,000 off, but you have to call today. IWC Roofing, 801-232-5690, 801-232-5690. That's 801-232-5690, or go to iwcroofingutah.com. Thanks, Josh.
You bet. Thanks.
Paid for by government. Did you hear? A secret hoard of 1904 $20 Gold Liberty coins have been found. These gorgeous 1904p gold coins are as bright and shiny as the day they were struck, and less than 500 of these gold coins are available. Coin experts are calling this secret U.S. gold coin discovery a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and you can own a piece of the hoard. When you call, you are guaranteed a 1904 Gold Liberty struck at the iconic Philadelphia Mint. With limited availability, you must call now. These 1904 dated gold coins are still in uncirculated condition with brilliant luster. That is 120 years of history you can hold in your hand. To learn more, call 1-800-895-7664. Call now and you'll receive a free bonus, a $75 value free with every order. Call 1-800-895-7664 now to secure your 1904p $20 Gold Liberty coins before they sell out. That's 1-800-895-7664.
With the 3 things you need to know this hour, I'm Britt Johnson. First, new data shows bicycle crashes are going up, but at the same time, bike riders aren't wearing their helmets. Second, there's an increased risk of flash flooding in southern Utah national parks and recreation areas. Third, Prime Day's record haul was expected, $14.2 billion over the 2 days, according to Adobe Analytics. Right now, it's 86 degrees and sunny in Salt Lake City. Back to Dave and Dujanovic on KSL News Radio.
Dave and Dujanovic.
34% of Americans tell Bankrate that they are living paycheck to paycheck. And one way to get out of that cycle is to go in and ask your boss for a raise. I have a 75-step guide sitting in front of me right now. I'm going to give you the Cliff Notes version of how to make that happen in just a moment. We're also going to take your live calls, 801-575-TALK. Have you ever gone in and asked your boss for a raise, and how did it turn out for you?
Number one, no, never have. I've never asked for a raise. What I have done is I've asked for an opportunity to change jobs. So even within the company, for example, I started off as a news editor, like a video editor. So I asked my boss if I could become a photographer or train to be a photographer and then train to be a producer. So I never asked them straight up for a raise. I always asked them for a chance to improve my job.
That's good.
And that's where I would get the raise.
Oh, and that's one of the tips. So you stole my thunder, but it's not the best tip. So we're going to get to that list in just a moment. Want to get to our phone lines. Camera from Draper, hi.
Hi, how are you?
Good. Have you ever gone in and asked your boss for a raise?
Yes.
And?
There were 3 of us in our office, and there was a hiring freeze on at the time. And we asked our boss, and he thought we should be have been paid more money. And we ended up, he said, well, I'm trying to get a title. He talked about a title.
Okay.
We told him, we don't care if you call us a floor washer. We just want more money. And we ended up getting our raise.
How can I ask you how much of a percent you got? Because there is a percent that is considered a decent percent for a raise, according to my Cliff Notes here.
I don't even remember because it's been quite a while ago. I couldn't even tell you the amount of the raise. But I also want to say one more thing. People have been living paycheck to paycheck for years. And to me, the people that should be blaming people, they should be blaming the corporations. The grocery stores, the president has has nothing to say about people, what they pay for groceries. It's just nothing makes sense to me right now. So I just had to throw that in there because
Thanks.
it's absurd.
Yeah, thanks for your call. Alyssa from Centerville, have you ever gone in and asked for a raise?
I have. I went in this past year and I asked for a 10% raise, and I got it.
You did. What was your
I got
secret?
it.
What was your
So
secret?
my secret is I printed off the pay scale, and I'm continually told, well, you have to take the next position up to get a raise. Well, I printed off the pay scale, which legally each company is supposed to provide to you, and I highlighted the pay scale that I was in, and I said, there's $20,000 more in my pay scale. I don't need to be promoted. I just need to tap into the money on my pay scale. And my boss didn't really have a comeback for that. So she went to bat for me with the higher ups in the company and said, look, this person's valuable. She's a flight risk if we don't pay her what she's worth. And I got
Great.
it.
Congrats.
You know what? That is such a great example, because when you first get hired, I was just thinking, when I was a photographer and I first got hired at after 5 years of being a photographer, I'm a totally different employee 5 years later. So as you said, there's probably, if you were to reach out and grab somebody with years of experience, you're not going to pay entry-level prices. So as you have been with the company for years and years and years, even though you have the same job title, there's probably a little wiggle room in that pay scale as you described.
Good job, Alyssa. Thanks so much for that tip. I think a lot of people can use that tip. 801-575-TALK. The reason we're taking your calls is because Bankrates released a new survey that says 34% of the Americans told them they're living paycheck to paycheck. One way to get out of that cycle is to stay with the company you're with, but go in and ask your boss for a raise. Danny from Draper, have you done that?
I did. So I went in and asked my boss for a raise. He said he would look into it. About 3 weeks later, they brought me into his boss's office and told me they were hiring 2 entry-level people to replace me, and escorted me out of the building.
Stop it.
Yep.
I'm sorry.
Technology corridor. Yep, they escorted me out of the building. Yeah, 3 weeks later.
So would you
replace me with two entry-level people?
Would you did that sting you enough that you wouldn't ask for a raise again in the future?
Oh yeah, I don't think I would.
I'm sorry.
When you lose a well over $100,000 a year job, that stings.
Yeah, that's the fear, and I think why a lot of people don't ask for a raise. Let me hear some of your tips, Deb, because I got something in my mind of what I would have to do. I have, kind of lined up before I went in and asked for a raise.
So this is the How to Ask for a Raise guide that we got from Indeed.com. One of the things that you want to do is make sure your timing is good. So figure out what the right time to ask. Like if your boss comes in and they slam the door and they, keep the light off in their office because they're working on a project, not the time to knock and ask for a raise. But also, I thought this was a great tip. Search news stories for the financial health of your company or look at financial reports. Like do your homework to see what position they're in. If they're, if they're a publicly traded company, you might be able to get more information there. If there's been a number of layoffs, maybe that's a large company throughout, other states of the world, and they've made some layoffs you're not aware of. Kind of want to know what is going on financially, at least have some sort of a clue.
One of the tough things with companies, though, have you ever met a boss that doesn't complain about the budget and like, we're just not going to make budget this month and we're broke, we're hand to mouth? Because there is a certain strategy to that. If you make all of your employees feel like, we're barely hanging on, and if you were to ask for even $1 more an hour, then we'd probably just all go bankrupt. Then there is a strategy because the company is there to make money. And the more they give to the employees, the less money they make. So I kind of get the strategy, but that is very common.
They said the best time of the year to ask for a raise is during your quarterly or your annual review. If you have one coming up, your employer might already expect that you will be bringing up compensation. So it may be a good time to walk through that door and ask that question. These tips also say the end of the fiscal year is another option. So figure out what kind of fiscal year your employer, or if it's it's on an annual, is it on a 12-month calendar? Is it fiscal year end in October? September 30th. Figure that out and ask, and then also research salary trends. Kind of figure out what's going on with your job in the community you're working, to kind of figure out salary trends before you ask the question. And then this says 3% is considered a pretty good jump. But you just heard from Melissa. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you just heard from Melissa. She got much more than that.
Yeah, she got a 10%. I will say this. I think sometimes when we're asking for a raise, we think short term. Like we just want to jump in and take it. I think it's better if you go into your boss and say, "Hey, listen, I'm not looking for a raise right now, but what metrics are you looking for? What goals do you want to see for me to get this raise or get to this level?" And say, "Hey, can we address this in 3 months or 6 months or a year from now?" If we think more long term, I think it's probably an easier conversation to have.
Great conversation. And if you missed this, we will be putting together this in a nice, tidy news story for you and posting it later today at kslnewsradio.com, where you can catch more information, including our tips on how to ask your boss for a raise. Straight ahead, super excited about our continuing coverage with the help of our partners, Zero Res. We're going to talk about the exciting announcement that's coming next week. It's likely that Salt Lake City will land the 2034 Olympic Games, and we're going to look into what ticket prices will look like for 2034 if you want to go to an event. And I'm also going to take you on a walk back in time to the 2002 Olympics, when I covered the story about ticket prices and ticket sales on Main Street.
It's 10:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Britt Johnson. KSL's top story this hour: the parents of the 12-year-old West Haven boy who passed away on July 9th under suspicious circumstances have been arrested in relationship to his death. Utah is still growing, but a new study shows we have less people buying homes. KSL News Radio's Adam Small has details.
Real estate experts at Agent Advice found in the last decade, most states have seen an increase in home buyers. However, 10 states saw the opposite trend, including Utah. Despite our massive growth, our home ownership rate has dropped just over 2% since 2014. Only Oklahoma, Colorado, Missouri, New York, and New Jersey saw bigger decreases. Now, analysts didn't really have any advice for prospective buyers in Utah, but if you look at the states with the biggest increases, some of the potential factors they listed are things like strong economies and just more affordable options for buyers. Adam Small, KSL News Radio.
Our top national story this hour from ABC News. Sources tell ABC News some of the highest-ranking Democrats in Washington have now pressed President Biden to step back from his re-election bid. Questions about Biden's ability to win are affecting donations.
I'm told that in terms of the major donors, it has stopped. The money into the campaign has stopped. In polling, you've seen upwards of 70% of Democratic voters saying that they would like to see a different nominee. That is very hard to sustain.
ABC News Chief Washington correspondent Jonathan Karl reporting. Your money at this moment: the Dow has lost 319 points. The S&P has also lost 37 points. The NASDAQ is off 158 points. Coming up, possible thunderstorms on the way. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 10:32.
It's a priority for us at this station to bring you all sides of a story and to talk about the news fairly, completely.
Get all the facts and be really aware. Utah's Morning News with us, Tim and Amanda.
Weekday mornings 5 to 9 on KSL News Radio.
Hi, I'm Jake Harward. I'm a farmer, and it's time to get your water boiling because Harward Farms green roadside stands are now open. We have a passion for growing the sweetest, freshest, locally grown, non-GMO corn anywhere that we pick and deliver daily to our now open, familiar green Harward Farms roadside stands. Same goes for our now in season tomatoes, peppers, peaches, and more. We are the original green roadside stands at 21 locations in 7 counties. Click online to harwardfarms.com for those locations. Fresh from our family's farm to your family's dinner table.
Harward Farms.
For the right repair and the right paint, the right choice is manufacturer-certified Martins Collision Repair. Hi, I'm Tiago Martins, and few have met the rigorous certification by Kia, Dodge, Infiniti, Chrysler, Jeep, Nissan, Hyundai, and many others. But it's one more reason that Martins is your right choice. Check online at martinscollision.com. On State Street in Orem and in Salem, we work with all insurance companies.
The right repair, the right paint, the right choice. Martin's Collision Repair.
Hey Utah! When it comes to guiding the growth of our state, you buzzed in with your comments, and we listened to what you had to say. Your feedback on the future of Utah's housing, water, transportation, and open space will continue to help our leaders make important policy decisions, preserving and improving our high quality of life in meaningful ways for years to come. So, thanks for speaking up. Learn more about our state's future at guidingourgrowth.utah.gov.
The light is fading, your hands are sore, and the last tool's been put away. Now is the time to feel the satisfaction that comes with a job well done. But when you get your tools from Harbor Freight, something about the job feels a little different. Your wallet. Because we believe that everyone deserves hardworking tools at hardworking prices. And that's what we have here. So, whatever you do, do it for less at Harbor Freight.
Did you know your skin is the largest organ of your body? Huh? That's why you should shower with Old Spice Super Hydration Body Wash instead of plain old bar soap. Love your skin by super hydrating it with vitamin B3 and glorious notes of vanilla and shea. Did you know that my super hydrated skin is the second largest organ of my body? The first is my heart. Old Spice. Men have skin too. Old Spice Super Hydration Body Wash. 24/7 renewing moisture. With daily use.
Feeling the heat at home in places your air conditioning can't reach? You might be overlooking a common culprit, your attic ventilation. Poor attic ventilation can spike your energy bills and shorten your roof's lifespan. Don't sweat it out this summer. Master Roofing is here to help. This July, Master Roofing is offering a free attic ventilation inspection and 20% off all attic ventilation services. Certified inspectors are ready to optimize your home's comfort and efficiency. Call 801-383-0072 or visit masterroofingutah.com to schedule your free inspection today.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by Sinclair's Dino Pay app. Save up to 20 cents per gallon. Here's Heather Kelly.
Well, traffic is still at a crawl right now. Southbound I-15 from Layton Parkway all the way into Farmington is due to an earlier rollover vehicle. It happened about 4 hours ago, but it was a cement truck, and it's taking a lot of extra equipment to try to upright this cement truck. So 2 right lanes are blocked right now as you head south through Davis County. And then you still have the closure of 123rd South in Draper. This is eastbound at 265 West. It's due to a broken traffic light pole, and so police are on scene directing traffic there. Hey, Utah County, Jones Paint and Glass is opening a new location, Payson. Be sure to come to their grand opening celebration on July 27th from 8 to 5. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
There's some monsoon moisture possible, especially in southern Utah. Those areas need to be aware of the flash flooding risk, but the thunderstorms are possible throughout the state. Right now it's 90 degrees and sunny. I'm Britt Johnson from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio.
We're going to talk about the Olympics, and we can do this because of Zero Res. Zero Res, July is National Carpet Cleaning Month, and Zero Res is offering 3 rooms, Zero Resified, starting at $99.
Salt Lake City 2034. Special coverage with Dave and Dujanovic.
Yeah, thanks, Zero Res, because I do really want to talk about ticket prices. I was excited when we talked yesterday to the president, Dave, and CEO of Utah's committee to land the games, and we should know by this time next week that we have won the games. Of course, we will carry the announcement right here on KSL News Radio on Wednesday. Fraser Bullock, though, calling the show yesterday. And it really made me excited about this opportunity to buy inexpensive tickets. What was your reaction?
If I can get a ticket for $36 like he promised, sign me up.
I think he said $34.
Tickets last time when we started selling about 18 months out. We'll probably do a little bit earlier, a couple of years out.
And there's a wide range of tickets because we want to make sure we have some very affordable tickets. So we will have at least 34,000 tickets available for $34 on that theme. But we also will have a bunch of tickets available in the $100 range. But at the same time, we're going to have some super expensive tickets that are attached to hospitality because that's what pays for our games.
I guess that makes sense. $20, $34 tickets. I probably should have pieced that one together a little better. I just randomly chose a number in the 30s. I don't know, $36. Yeah, $34 tickets. But I also love him being totally transparent. He's like, there's going to be some tickets out there that are super expensive.
I don't know that you're going to get a $34 ticket to the men's hockey, final.
No, the gold medal game, no.
Yeah. Or, figure skating. So $34 is extremely reasonable. And I do remember there were some inexpensive tickets back in the day in 2002. I covered the games. Did you cover the games?
No, I was working at a different station, and this was the official policy.
It's Channel 4.
This isn't our party. So we ignored it.
It was KSL 5 Television, KSL News Radio's party, and we did party. Oh, yeah, we worked around the clock. It was a lot of fun. And one of the stories, this is so funny, Dave. We're putting together a special here at KSL News Radio of what everybody could look forward to 2034 and the announcement. And they assigned me the task of looking back to 2002. And I'm like, this is so in my wheelhouse because I woke up at about midnight, 1 a.m., every single day during the games, which went on for 3. And it went on even before that because KSL 5 Television assigned me to cover the torch relay as the torch. We had reporters covering it, lots of reporters covering it. I was one of many that were honored to be beside the great reporters like John Hollenhorst, Shelley Osterloh. The names, just iconic reporters. Dick Norris, Deanie Wimmer. I can go on and on. Love y'all. And they sent us down to Moab as the torch came in at 6 a.m. I think it was 6 o'clock in the morning. The moon was going down. The sun was rising at Delicate Arch, and here comes the flame in it. I can still see it today. So I was blessed to be able to cover that live for KSL 5 Television in the morning show that on TV. It was fun. And then they sent me, so I'm looking, because of KSL News Radio's assignment to me just a few weeks ago, you're going to cover the 2002 games. I'm like, great. So I start looking for old stories, and I'm like, I want to know what ticket prices were back then because I just can't remember off the top of my head. So I Google it, and up on YouTube comes up a story. It's been posted by KSL 5 Television from the 2002 games on ticket prices. So I play it, and I'm like, is that 35-year-old Debbie Dujanovic doing that? So that's me doing that story. They'd sent me to Main Street back in February of 2002. Photographer and I walked on over to Main Street because they had set up a ticket exchange on Main Street. So it was during the games, and if you decided, hey, I can't make it to an event, I bought too many tickets, there was this building on Main Street that they converted into a ticket exchange. And tickets were so inexpensive. And they did something to make sure, Dave, if you showed up to buy a ticket back then, you weren't getting ripped off. And I love what they did. So let's play that story from 2002. This is KSL 5 Television's Debbie Dujanovic.
I was looking for tickets to the four-man bobsled. They wanted more than I was ready to pay.
Thinking of hitting the streets to buy Olympic tickets?
The tickets were about 3 times what the face value was.
With the week left, what is left? We ended up here at the Salt Lake City-run resale swap called the Ticket Exchange at 175 South Main.
I think it's a way to allow people to feel confident that they can get tickets and trust what they're getting.
This is through the city of Salt Lake. Once inside the Ticket Exchange, you'll find a row of resale ticket brokers, everyone city licensed with a background check. Ticket seekers line up every day to bargain with the brokers.
As long as you make them stick to their price, you can get a good deal.
Most events still have open seats, and apparently there are good ticket deals out there.
Sometimes even the day of, when there's not too much demand, it goes below face value.
With 7 days left in Olympic competition, tickets are going for as little as $20. But the more popular events will cost you a lot more than that. $20 has landed some spectators at ski competitions in Park City. Buyers are paying more than face value, though, for figure skating events and hockey tickets, some as high as $1,000 a piece. The true fan seems willing to pay.
Oh, really psyched up. Really psyched up. USA.
The city set up the ticket exchange to keep tabs on the brokers and make one-stop ticket shopping possible. But it's up to you to cut your own Olympic ticket deal. Debbie Dujanovic, eyewitness to the games.
That was from 2002. That was me.
You sound the same. You haven't aged. Your voice hasn't aged today.
What do you think about the ticket exchange and the fact that some of them were going for $20?
Yeah, they're going to have to figure out something because right now, the way the ticket world is working right now, it's a disaster.
It's different than it was back then.
Completely different. They were dealing with paper tickets, printouts. Everything is done online now. You have a QR code, and if you look 10 years into the future, how much things are changing. Right now, the biggest problem with ticket sales right now is the scalper market, where the scalpers go in, they buy up every single ticket, they sell it through a third-party app, and you get gouged. That money is not going to the Olympics. That is going to the gouging scalper. So this is the number one thing they have got to fix for the Olympics in 2034. This is not like 2002. They've got to make massive changes and put some things in place so that we're not getting gouged.
Okay, we're going to keep an eye on how that happens. And, of course, you can hear our live coverage Wednesday, July 24th, Pioneer Day, when we're going to get word from Paris. And I'm confident that we're going to hear that Salt Lake City is going to be the host of the 2034 Winter Olympics. Straight ahead, we're going to take you to Milwaukee and the Republican National Convention, where Vice President nominee J.D. Vance took to the stage last night. I thought this was the most powerful moment of his speech.
Our movement is about single moms like mine who struggled with money and addiction but never gave up. And I'm proud to say that tonight my mom is here, 10 years clean and sober. I love you, Mom.
Adam Gardner of KSL at Night calling the show live from the Republican National Convention next.
Dave and Dujanovic.
You know KSL is the only news radio for your car, right?
The only news radio for your smart speaker.
Come here in the morning. It's the latest news and traffic. In the afternoon, news and updated weather.
We have you covered at KSL News Radio.
Like the rest of you, I wanted to lose some weight. Several months back, I reached out to Salt Lake City Fat Loss, and I wanted to find out more about their program because there were a few things that were musts. I didn't want to have surgery. I didn't want to do injections, and I didn't want to have to purchase all these prepackaged meals. I think I've done that before, buying the prepackaged meals. I get super tired of those meals after about 2 weeks. So those were my three criteria. Again, no surgery, no injections, no prepackaged food. Salt Lake City Fat Loss said, perfect, this is for you. The results are going to be amazing. Many people will lose 20 to 30 pounds in the first month or two. I lost 57 pounds in just 2 months. If you're interested and want to see some of those incredible results, reach out to Salt Lake City Fat Loss by going to their website and scheduling a free consultation. If you use my name right now, you're going to get an extra $200 off the program. Just go to slcfatloss.com. That's slcfatloss.com.
Do you know why more homeowners choose Any Hour Services for help when it's time to replace their air conditioners? What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and the main reasons people choose Any Hour Services is because of our people, processes, and convenience. People tell us all the time that there's just something different about having an Any Hour Services technician in their home. That's why most of our over 18,000 Google reviews mention our technicians by name. Another reason is our 7-step install process that we call the Any Hour Difference. It all starts with the needs analysis, where you explain what you like and dislike about your current system. This helps us design and size a system that fits your comfort and efficiency preferences as well as your home's airflow requirements. As for convenience, most of our installs are completed in 1 day. We also have flexible, no money down financing options available, even if you've been told no in the past. So if you've been thinking about getting a new air conditioner, call Any Hour Services and schedule a free estimate today. Google Any Hour Services or schedule online at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Wow. Biden's at it again.
Inflation, rising costs for everything. What now?
Try big government control of our Medicare drug benefit.
The more I hear, the more it seems we can't afford Biden's Medicare agenda.
They're right. And it's because seniors are already feeling the pain of Biden's drug coverage changes, with almost 2 million forced from their plans and spiked premiums for nearly 5 million more. Now, Congress wants to expand the Biden Medicare agenda even more. But studies show Biden's plan will restrict access, shrink coverage, and limit availability of needed drugs for all seniors. Thankfully, Congressman Blake Moore is a champion for Medicare drug coverage. Call him at 202-224-3121. Urge him to stop Biden's radical Medicare changes by opposing H.R. 4895 now. Paid for by Seniors for Better Care.
With Progressive's Name Your Price tool, you can easily find coverage options that fit your budget. If only it was that easy to name your baby.
How about Jaden?
Nope.
Okay. Michael?
Went to middle school with a glue-eating Michael.
Sebastian?
Dated one in college.
How about Damien?
Vampire name.
All right. Greg?
Not feeling it.
Okay. No worries. No worries. Jeffrey?
Oh, love that one.
Wait, really?
No.
Find coverage options that fit your budget with Progressive's Name Your Price tool. Get a quote at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law. Not available in all states.
Want to keep your gas-powered engines running like new? Stable's proprietary formulas are proven by third-party testing to outperform the competition in keeping fuel fresh, preventing corrosion, and cleaning the entire fuel system. With Stable, you can have confidence you are doing the right thing for your engine's long-term health. Just pour into your gas can or fuel tank, then top off with fresh fuel. At every fill-up or when you store, start with Stable. Available where fuel additives are sold.
If you want to stay up to speed on all your breaking news alerts, you can do so by signing up for the KSL text line. Text news to 57500. It's the way I like to do it, and there's a lot of different words you can use to keep up to date. If you want to do D2, then you'll get the Dave and Dujanovic updates. You can do Jazz, BYU, RSL. But if you want the latest on the news, go ahead and text news to 57500.
With the 3 things you need to know this hour, I'm Britt Johnson. First, the parents of the 12-year-old West Haven boy who passed away on July 9th under suspicious circumstances have been arrested in relation to his death. Second, despite our massive growth, Utah's home ownership rate has dropped just over 2% since 2014. Third, questions about Biden's ability to win the election are affecting campaign donations. Right now, it's 90 degrees and sunny in Salt Lake City. Back to Dave and Dujanovic on KSL News Radio.
Dave and Dujanovic.
I thought this was the most powerful moment of Vice Presidential nominee J.D. Vance's speech at the Republican National Convention.
They saying JD's mom?
JD's mom. And
awesome.
It is so powerful because of what he said about his mom. Addicted for years, and she is there with him in the crowd. And as they're chanting JD's mom, she's mouthing the words to her son, who's on stage as the VP nominee. I love you, JD. Here's what he said about her. He said this during his speech.
Our movement is about single moms like mine who struggled with money and addiction but never gave up. And I'm proud to say that tonight my mom is here, 10 years clean and sober. I love you, Mom.
Rolling back the stigma of addiction while on stage as he's accepting the nomination to be, for the Republican ticket for vice president, I thought was a very powerful moment and a gesture to all people that there's redemption, there's forgiveness, and there is self-correction.
It's part of what makes his story so relatable and so incredible. many of you have read or seen the movie Hillbilly Elegy. That's his memoir of him growing up. And it was a steady stream of mom's struggle with addiction, went through 5 different marriages. He was raised essentially by his grandmother in abject poverty. And to see this redemption story, to know that she's been 10 years clean and sober, anyone that's read that book or watched that movie, that's an emotional and powerful moment.
Adam Gardner, KSL at Night host, live at the Republican National Convention, calling us from Milwaukee. I'll be honest with you, that was really a powerful moment for me. I was tearing up, and I thought the rest of his speech kind of fell flat. What were your thoughts there?
You know, there was a time you mentioned that she mouthed some words, and right when the camera cut to her, I don't know what this is how it was live, but you could see it up on the big screen, and she mouthed, "That's my boy." And I think a lot of people really loved that. Everyone was talking about that. Oh, she's such a proud mom. And when you read his memoir, I think the great thing about J.D. Vance is there is nothing that he is afraid to talk about. So his life is literally an open book. And if you don't want to read, you can watch a movie about it. So we know a lot about J.D. That's a huge strength for him. I do agree that it did kind of feel flat in some spaces because it droned on for quite a while. I mean, it was a 30-minute speech, and by the end of it, a lot of people were kind of on their phones and texting. I think those on the floor were really still engaged, but it's kind of a chaotic scene. Everyone just walking around waiting for it to end.
Adam, having heard J.D. Vance speak in the past and kind of the firebrand way that he has of communicating, how did this compare? How did this speech compare? And do you think it was toned down after President Trump said, we need to rewrite some of these speeches. We want to have a different message for the American people at the RNC?
Well, and there was no way that J.D. Vance could have had a draft. He knew 20 minutes before President Trump announced on Truth Social that he was the VP pick. So he didn't really have time to write a speech. And it seemed like this is the way that the campaign wanted him to go. One of the interesting things, yes, it was, I think, very toned down. I think JD is a pretty toned down guy for the most part, you know, January 6th type of stuff, notwithstanding in campaign rallies. So he really didn't have a ton of time to get into a firebrand message. Really, he was just explaining who he was, talking about his family, his mother that struggled with addiction. And it seems to me that they're just trying to go after that demographic that Republicans have not gone full bore for in the past, which I think is a great thing. I think it's a great thing for the Republican Party. One thing he really hit hard was he mentioned Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Ohio over and over and over and over again. It was no secret why he was the nominee.
Right. I agree with you. I listened to the whole thing. By the way, I think it was about 34 minutes long, and I thought it got long in places as well. Neither here nor there. He's the VP pick. We are not. But I did feel like he was hitting that common theme of I can relate to you. I can relate to your story. I have been there before. The forgotten communities, he brought that up at the end of the speech. I felt like he should have brought that up at the beginning and really leaned into that. It was like he was talking to everybody who has felt held down by big government. But it did get really long and windy in some parts. However, for the most part, I thought he played it really, really safe, and that's probably the space he needed to be in.
Yeah, I agree. This is a time where the country needs to get to know who J.D. Vance is. When Barack Obama ran for president, he was only in the Senate for 2 years, and he had already written 2 memoirs, so people got to know a lot about him, but he was still introducing himself while he was running. Same thing goes for J.D. Vance. He's only been in a year and a half. Most people only know about kind of January 6th stuff, how he was on one side of the issue, you know, with defending President Trump, and then Hillbilly Elegy. That's it. Yeah. They wanted to see him speak. They wanted to see him smile. They wanted to see him talk about his wife and his family. By the way, his wife stole the show. She did a fantastic job right before him.
That's great.
And she got maybe even louder applause than he did.
That's incredible.
Adam, in the final minute, we have a much anticipated speech from President Trump tonight.
We're very excited. We don't know what the heck he's going to say. They told us be in your seats very promptly because you're not going to be able to get a seat in the House. So we are. We hope that the message of unity is something that rings true with the delegates, but honestly, whatever President Trump says, the delegates are going to lose their minds and be totally happy.
And then that's it, right? It wraps?
It wraps, and everybody leaves, goes home tomorrow.
All
That's
right.
the end of the convention.
Well, you've done an amazing job. Thank you so much for being available to D2. We appreciate it. Adam Gardner, KSL at Night host, doing a fabulous job. Checking in with us on the dime almost every day, or every day this week, actually.
I don't know what to expect from this Trump speech tonight. I did think J.D. Vance's was very good in some spots. That's a pretty long time to try to keep an audience for 30 uninterrupted minutes. But I think what everyone wants to do is hear from President Trump and see if his message is any different than what we've heard over the last several months at rallies.
Straight ahead, we now know that the Secret Service spotted a gunman on the roof across from where President Trump was speaking 20 minutes before shots were fired. And that's not all we know. We'll tell you the rest of the story at 11:05.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, we're counting down 6 days until the historic announcement, Salt Lake City 2034.
It's 11 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Britt Johnson. KSL's top story this hour. The execution of a death row inmate could bring a new chemical to Utah. KSL News Radio's Michael Commit reports.
Tabarone Honey is convicted of murdering his ex's mother in front of her grandchildren back in 1998. And he's facing his execution on the 8th of next month. But his attorney is concerned the chemicals being used are too experimental. To this end, there's a push to use pentobarbital. It's a lethal cocktail that's already been used for executions in other states.
A court will hear arguments for and against the current method and its effectiveness on Wednesday. A Uinta County man died on the final stretch of fulfilling a lifelong dream. Jason Schultz had been riding his motorcycle across the country when a car turned into his path only miles before he made it home. His wife, Crystal, is begging drivers to slow down and pay attention as our 100 deadliest days of summer continue. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. President Biden putting his campaign on pause while he quarantines in Delaware after testing positive for COVID. ABC's Phil Lipoff has more.
This couldn't have come at a worse time. He had to put his campaign on pause because now has to isolate. He's isolating here at the family's home in Rehoboth Beach. No telling when he'll be able to get back out into public life, but the White House does say he will be doing the country's business while he's isolating.
Your money at this moment, the Dow down 277 points, the S&P off 26 points, and the NASDAQ off 96 points. Coming up, we've got another 100-degree day. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 11:01.
Here's a way to get breaking news updates anywhere you go.
At the store or in a work meeting, you can get breaking news on your phone.
You can quickly read it, swipe, or click for more. It's super discreet, super fast.
That's the app for KSL News Radio.
Hi, welcome to Staples. Hi, my son's teacher emailed his back-to-school list. He needs crayons and a comp book for every subject. Okay, no problem. With Staples Hot Deals, you'll find super low prices on hundreds of items for back-to-school. Oh, now they're saying he needs folders and glue. You got it. And markers? Of course. Oh, geez. Can we get a card, please?
Save big on back to school with Staples Hot Deals. Right now, 24-pack Crayola crayons and comp books are only 50 cents each at Staples. Ends 8/24, in-store only, limit 30.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance engineer, he hears things differently. To the untrained ear, everything on his shop floor might sound fine, but he can hear gears grinding or a belt slipping. So he steps in to fix the problem at hand before it gets out of hand. And he knows Grainger's got the right product he needs to get the job done, which is music to his ears. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
With interest rates coming back down, I bet the real estate market will pick back up in 2024. We're already seeing that, Tim.
Yeah.
But it doesn't really matter how the market is doing when you have the right team. So if you're looking to sell your house, now you want to downsize or you need more space, you need the Stern team.
The Stern team has taught us, I can think of a handful of things that I would worry about if I was buying or selling, but there are 100 details that are involved in selling a home, and they have lots of people that are handling every detail so nothing falls through the cracks.
And they have so many different options. I mean, I worked with Cammie there at the Stern team, and she was awesome. But if you need an instant cash offer, you can do that. If you need to buy before you sell, you can do that. They have flexible fees.
They also have people that they represent that are looking to buy a home, so maybe they can make that perfect connection within the Stern team.
So don't put off selling your house or buying a house because you think the market isn't just right. The market is right with the Stern team.
Go online to sternteam.com or just Google the Stern team.
Jim Jr. here from RGS Exteriors. I want to tell you about our famous "You Don't Need a Warranty" warranty. That's right. It's a warranty you don't need, but we give it to you anyway. Let me explain. Most warranty problems for siding, gutters, and windows are caused by not installing stuff right in the first place. If you rush the work, cut corners, or use subpar materials, you're just begging for problems later. At RGS Exteriors, we don't tolerate careless workmanship. We slow down, focus on every detail, and use only the best materials. We prevent warranty work by doing the job right in the first place. That's why the 10-year everything guarantee we give you is also known as our "You Don't Need a Warranty" warranty. We absolutely will be there if you need to use it. But honestly, you probably will never have to. Done right the first time. That's the RGS way. For siding, gutters, and windows, call 801-280-3110 or visit us at rgsexteriors.com.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by Sinclair's DinoPay app. Save up to 20 cents per gallon. Here's Ricky Meese.
We still have leftover delays on southbound I-15, leaving Layton, going through Kaysville from an earlier crash with injuries. You want to look for that over to the shoulder at about Burton Lane. Also, crews are on the scene of an accident. This is at the 201 going eastbound at the 9th West ramp. On the way to I-15, it's blocking a left lane, and in Draper, we still have crews working at the intersection and blocking traffic 123rd South, 265 West. Hey, Utah, summer has come alive. All better in a new vehicle from Murdoch Hyundai. Lisa Tucson SEL for $377 per month or 1.99% for 5 years. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
We have another 100-degree day today, but we'll also see some scattered thunderstorms potentially across the state. But even with that rain, our hot temperatures are here to stay through the middle of next week. Right now, it's 92 degrees and sunny. I'm Britt Johnson from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories. On KSL News Radio, Trump assassination attempt. Special coverage with Dave and Dujanovic.
Dave, I was just watching the New York Times has pieced together through video and through audio that was captured at the rally for former President Trump that almost ended in the assassination of him. Clearly did not. They have pieced together a timeline that I was watching during the break. But the headline is how Trump's security failed to stop an assassination attempt. We're going to go through the timeline that we have put together here at KSL News Radio, and it is astounding the number and sequence of failures.
And one thing that is incredible to me is technology has allowed us to break this down in such a quick and efficient way. Let me give you an example. 3D renderings have already been made where they map President Trump's face, the path of the bullet, how it hit his ear. And I can tell you, looking at these breakdowns and these 3D renderings, the shooter did not miss. President Trump moved his head ever so slightly, looking to the right, as the bullet passes and hits his ear. It was so miraculous and shocking to watch this rendering unfold. And we're learning of how close were from a national tragedy. Right now, we've stopped talking about it in many ways. That's how close we were to having a national tragedy eat up the airwaves forever. And now we've already moved on to other topics. Like, hey, what's going on at the Republican National Convention? Is Biden going to stay in the race? There's a million other topics.
Well, we're talking about it. We talked about it this morning earlier, and we're going to talk about it again right now. And in a few minutes, we're going to get retired FBI Supervisor Carl Schmay back on the air with us. He joined us the day after the assassination attempt to walk through what he thought the failures were. Well, now we have a much better picture, an image of what happened, and we now know from law enforcement and from Congress, lawmakers who've been briefed on this, that according to the timeline, Dave, the Secret Service was aware that the gunman was on the roof 150 yards away from where President Trump was standing at that rally. They were aware at 5:52 p.m. there was a gunman up there. He fired the shots, the gunman did, at 6:12. So they had a 20-minute window. Now, you may say, well, they maybe they didn't see the gun. They had a 20-minute window to tell the former president, sir, you are not taking the stage in this moment until we figure out what in the world is going on that rooftop right over there.
We talked to former Salt Lake City Police Chief Chris Burbank earlier in the show, and I thought he brought some interesting perspective because he has worked as local law enforcement, local police, with the Secret Service specifically, and he made a couple points that I thought were interesting. I thought they were important. He said, we don't know they're a shooter until they're a shooter. Until we see a gun, until they fire that weapon, they're just another person. Now, they can be a suspicious person or a person of interest, but until they see the gun or until they see shots fired, they can't take that kind of action. They can't neutralize or kill somebody that they suspect possibly could be out there to harm the president.
You don't know it's a shooter until he's a shooter, right? You have suspicious circumstances, so you can't just shoot people in those circumstances. And then also, whenever you run an event, there is always a limit to your resource, a limit to your perimeter, and what you're trying to do is minimize the risk, not eliminate it.
And some of the ways you could minimize is if there is somebody suspicious, then you have to investigate, and you can't move until that suspicious person is found. You could have put a tent up that doesn't give a direct and clear sight to the president. Again, looking at these 3D renderings, Debbie, of where the Trump speech took place at the podium and then the roof, there is nothing in between those two things. Yeah. There's one big tree on the left, but other than that, it is an open field and a direct shot to President Trump.
Well, the rest of the timeline, in addition to the fact that they had the 20-minute notice that this gunman was on the roof or somebody was on the roof across the way, may explain why GOP senators were chasing around the Secret Service director, Kimberly Cheatley, last night at the Republican National Convention in Milwaukee.
This is exactly what you were doing today on the call.
Stonewalling. Attempt. You owe the people answers. You owe President Trump.
So she had an assassination attempt on her hand on Saturday, and now she's got a crisis on her hands, a crisis of trust. There's more to this timeline as well. It wasn't just the 20 minutes. They were aware of a person of interest. They identified actually the man that would eventually become the shooter. Just an hour and 2 minutes later, Crooks was identified as a person of interest at 5:10 p.m. And then at 5:30 p.m., he was spotted with a rangefinder. Come on. Stop the event.
Yeah, why in the world would you need a rangefinder? That is so wildly suspicious.
The simplest solution to this isn't, running around and pitching up tents or going on with the solution to it is make sure the former president does not take the stage. That's it, right? Get back in the motorcade. We have to delay whatever the excuse is to the crowd. You can bide some time. I also want to know, they didn't post anybody at that building, on the building in terms of law enforcement. KDKA in Pennsylvania, a TV station there, their flagship station there, has done some excellent investigative work trying to figure out what went wrong there. And the locals in that area, the district attorney and the township manager have told KDKA they made the Secret Service aware 2 days before. They sent a message saying, we don't have the resources to staff that building. And they wound up putting 1 or 2 police officers inside the building with no access to the roof. Well, the gunman got access to the roof, but these police officers didn't. And they were also reporting the locals never heard back after they sent that message to the Secret Service. So there's a lot of questions here that need to be addressed.
And part of the problem is the Secret Service gave a briefing to the Senate yesterday, and they only allowed 4 questions. And Senator Ron Johnson said, what in the world is going on? I've got a list of questions. He put a dozen questions out on Twitter and officially asked them to address this. The Secret Service, I understand you're doing an investigation, but we are seeing videos after video, eyewitness report after eyewitness report. It is running nonstop on the news channels. We are seeing videos of the shooter climbing up. People are recording this, climbing up onto the roof and milling around suspiciously. We've seen all of these videos, and the Secret Service is not addressing any of this. I'm not saying they don't know it, but this is a messaging problem, and in part why you're feeling so much frustration, because they're just not saying anything.
Straight ahead, retired FBI Supervisory Special Agent Carl Schmay on the line with us to break down his take on this latest development.
Dave and Dujanovic.
Dave and Debbie go out of their way to make sure you hear all sides of a story.
They're working the phones to get several viewpoints on for you.
Hi, it's Tim and Amanda. We get you the full story, too.
We have you covered on KSL News Radio.
You've been working so hard to keep your lawn and garden looking good. Maybe it's time to make your home look incredible with new window frames and double-pane glass from Advanced Window Products. If you can imagine it, they can create it at their factory in Salt Lake City. Any style, any color, security enhancements to keep your family safe. All this and factory direct pricing. You're buying local and paying less. So seal up your home and reap the energy savings with Advanced Window Products, where they've been creating windows for 38 years. No subcontractors, they're not resellers. They build the windows, they install the windows, and they guarantee them for life. And right now at their summer special, get an extra $2,500 off on 10 windows or more. They offer 0% financing and even buy now, pay later. Busy season's just hitting. Call now. Advanced Window Products, $2,500 off. But you have to call 801-850-9100. That's 801-850-9100. Or go to advancedwindowsusa.com.
Donald Trump's first speech since the attempt on his life.
He essentially crumpled it up, tossed it away. His speech will now be focused more on unity.
Get full coverage before tonight's address, the Republican National Convention. Listen mornings and afternoons for the latest updates on KSL News Radio.
Utah, don't spend your summers painting year after year. Do what your neighbor Judy did. She called Rhino Shield.
After having the house painted with kind of usual house paint, I was seeing cracks appearing about every 3 years and just wasn't very satisfied with that.
Rhino Shield ceramic technology is formulated for our unique climate here in Utah and is Class 1 fire rated.
I can't speak highly enough about the Rhino Shield crew. They also were great at working with me to get the exact right color because I was very particular.
Utah, you too can have the 25-year guaranteed protection of Rhino Shield for 10% off the regular price.
I would not hesitate to call Rhino Shield, and I am just thrilled to recommend Rhino Shield to my friends and neighbors and family.
This offer is limited. Call 435-246-4466, 435-246-4466, or rhinoshieldwest.com.
Go Rhino Shield.
Summer is here, and you only have 18 summers to enjoy the outdoors with the kids.
Yes.
So make it cozy with Paris RV and the 1640 LTD. Only $11,495 or $131 per month. Need some more space? Then load the family into a bunkhouse RV. The Open Range 26BH for only $20,995 or $239 per month. Got toys? Load up the XLR Boost 24 LE toy hauler. Only $29,995 or $304 per month.
Make every weekend a vacation with Paris RV.
Paris RV is your locally owned, family-run RV dealership. We strive hard to find the very best RVs for the price. With 4 locations, over 1,000 RVs in stock, 42 service bays, and 4 super parts stores. We're sure to help take your family on the best RV vacation. Check out our perfect family bunkhouse trailer, the 26BH. That sleeps 9 for $19,995 or $227 a month. Zero down. Life is short. Enjoy it. North Murray, South Murray, Payson, and Pocatello. ParisRV.com.
Getting help with electrical repairs is easier than you think. All you have to do is call Any Hour Services or schedule an appointment at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
You may have expected today to be like yesterday or the day before, but when it comes to what today really is, you may need to look again. You see, today's the day to reach out to Loyal Energy and ask about the $1,500 they have waiting for you if you're a homeowner and you commit to going solar. Yes, $1,500. That's pretty unusual, but actually, so is their name. Why Loyal Energy? Because their goal's to be your honest and loyal energy company that puts you first. Look, you're not stuck with your current energy company, and Loyal Energy's ready to help you break free with cutting-edge solar energy and roofing solutions that deliver clean and sustainable power. And they're willing to pay you $1,500 to go solar and start seeing savings from the first day. You weren't expecting this from today, but here it is. Transform your energy usage, reduce costs, and contribute to a sustainable environment at loyalenergy.com. Loyalenergy.com.
Here at KSL News Radio, breaking news is our bread and butter. But we know you can't always have your ear to the radio, so guess what? You can text the word news to 57500 because we know you always have your cell phone with you. And the moment breaking news happens, we put it in a text and we push it out to you immediately so you can be in the know, just like I am, because I, yes, am signed up for our breaking news alerts. Again, 57500. All you need to do is text the word news to 57500 and we'll sign you up.
With the 3 things you need to know this hour, I'm Britt Johnson. First, arguments for and against a new death penalty chemical in Utah will be argued in court on Wednesday. Second, loved ones of crash victims are speaking out and raising awareness amid Utah's 100 deadliest days on the road. Third, President Biden is putting his campaign on pause while he quarantines after testing positive for COVID, experts saying this couldn't have come at a worse time. Right now, it's 92 degrees and sunny in Salt Lake City. Back to Dave and Dujanovic on KSL News Radio.
Dave and Dujanovic.
There's a lot of people right now that are looking at the Secret Service and saying, what in the world went wrong? 20 minutes. That's what went wrong, for starters. They knew 20 minutes before the shots were fired at former President Trump's head that there was somebody on the roof in that building that had a line of sight to the podium.
And one of the things that I've learned, Debbie, over this, I didn't realize how much local police and departments support the Secret Service. I just assumed, I guess, that the Secret Service goes around in packs and they take care of all of the security, but they use local police often, and they are a crucial part. And now the Secret Service is blaming local police for the failure.
Carl Schmay, a longtime supervisor at the FBI. You know, the FBI, Carl, is investigating the aftermath, but ultimately it's the Secret Service that's in charge of security for the president, the former president, And this, to me, seems like it's stacking up to be a major failure. And the timeline that's been released today shows that they knew 20 minutes before the shots were fired from a would-be assassin's gun that there was somebody on that rooftop over there, and it wasn't very far from where the former president, was standing.
Yeah, hi, Deb. Hi, Dave. You're right. This should never have happened. Clearly, there was a failure. And at the end of the day, it is the Secret Service that's responsible for this. Even if they delegated responsibility for that outer perimeter to the police, the Secret Service was still responsible to make sure that that plan was implemented. So at the end of the day, the fault is going to be theirs. And, as we're getting more and more details, it definitely looks like there were some earlier chances to intervene.
Carl, when we're talking about threats, how do they view vulnerability? Is the biggest concern like the immediate vicinity of the president, or do they worry? Do they pay special attention to the outer circle, so to speak? Like, is there a priority where they say, oh, we definitely have to secure this, and then we maybe lessen the resources as it gets out?
Good question, Dave. So security is always done in layers. So the initial inner layer, which is going to be that inner perimeter, that's going to get the hardest look. So typically with a venue like this, they're going to come in, they're going to secure that area ahead of time. They'll probably have bomb dogs and bomb technicians sweep that area to make sure there's no explosives. However, when they were doing that advanced security detail, which we talked about earlier, they're always looking for potential vantage points where is there a point where somebody with a rifle can reach out and shoot? Are there any of those unimpeded sight lines? Which there were. And, what's concerning is that it sounds like there were police that were in that building.
Yeah, a couple.
And maybe they thought it was secure because of that, but there should have been a better way to secure it. I mean, somebody should have been on that roof.
But what we're learning now from KDKA and the reporting that they're doing in Pennsylvania, Carl, is that the local police sent a message to the Secret Service 2 days before the rally that they did not have the manpower, the resources to secure that building. It does sound like they had a couple of police officers inside the building, but they didn't have any access to the roof. And the local police department is telling KDKA, the television station there, that they sent a message to the Secret Service to let them know, hey, we don't have the resources, and that they never heard back. To me, that sounds like yet another failure. The Secret Service should have been back in touch and made sure that building with that line of sight had proper security.
You're right. I mean, at the end of the day, it's the Secret Service's responsibility, even if they're asking for help. I will say, Debbie, something that I don't think has been talked about is that there was one officer who apparently did try to climb that roof. He poked his head up and saw Crooks, the shooter. I believe that officer actually saved the president's life, because even though he wasn't able to intervene, he wasn't able to neutralize a shooter, that action, I believe, rushed Crooks to take his shots. And when you shoot at distance like that, like Crooks did at 150 yards, you have to be calm. When you get scared, your body starts to react. It's fight or flight. Your heart rate goes up, your breathing increases, and those are actions which would cause you to miss a shot. So I think that even though it was a failed intervention by that officer, I believe that likely caused Crooks to miss his shot.
Carl, can you give us an idea of how a semi-reasonable shooter, like how accurate can you be from 150 yards out for folks that maybe haven't done a lot of shooting in the past?
Yeah, good question, Dave. So with an AR-15, that is not an unreasonable shot. I carried a very similar weapon when I was on the FBI SWAT team. We routinely took those kind of shots, even with iron sights. And we don't know whether he had optics. Obviously, if he has some kind of a scope, and if he had that gun zeroed in, that's a much easier shot. Even with Crooks, even if he was rushed, he clipped the president, right? He nicked his ear. I mean, he was just off by an inch or two. So that's not a particularly hard shot. That's why that area should have been secured. And the former president, was very, very lucky that this didn't have a different outcome.
Yeah. Former a retired FBI supervisory special agent Carl Schmay live on the line with us right now. We're breaking down the timeline. We now know that there's a 20-minute window before those rounds came from that would-be assassin's gun that the Secret Service was aware there was somebody on the roof. We also know from the timeline, Carl, that at 5:30 p.m., now keep in mind the shot went off at 6:12 p.m., so almost 45 minutes earlier, Crooks, the shooter, was spotted with a rangefinder. And at 5:10 p.m., he'd already been identified as a person of interest, according to what ABC News has put together for their timeline. So, again, how many Secret Service failures do we need? that just sounds like a really massive failure over the course of an hour.
Yeah, Deb, and I wonder what sort of communication was going on. I know for ourselves in the FBI, sometimes, we've got different radio systems that we use, and the locals, were they all on the same channel? Was all this information getting passed, or did only certain people have that information? Because certainly, like you guys talked about just earlier, somebody with a rangefinder, there's one purpose for that, right? That is to measure a distance, and that's a tool that a shooter uses. So at that point, that really should have caused a full court press for the police and the Secret Service to try to locate that individual.
That's a great point. But range finders, they're used all the time on the golf course, and you wouldn't think anything if you saw it on the golf course. But in the middle of nowhere, with not a golf club to be seen, that would feel so highly suspicious, right? That is something that you would notice.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, right, they're not on a golf course. You've got a prime target, the former president of the United States, that's out in the open with sightlines, very open sightlines to him. So they're really, that should have been much more of a concern. That should have prompted, I think, a more robust response to try to locate that person at that time.
Well, and to your point, Carl, I think it was very well stated. Thank you so much for joining us, that the shooter may have felt rushed because that local police officer was able to shimmy, grab onto the edge of the roof and pull himself up and over to kind of figure out what was going on. And that may have rushed Crooks to turn around and then start firing at the former president. So he didn't have the time to calm down, to get in the, in the space, the brain space that he needed to be to fire maybe more accurately. Although the former president did turn his head to look at that chart. And that may have also played into the fact that he's still with us.
And the 3D renderings that I have seen, and they are comprehensive and done in a very excellent way, shows that it was just Trump's head turn that saved his life. Had he not turned his head, the 3D renderings show that he would have been dead.
It's 11:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Britt Johnson. KSL's top story this hour. Breaking news, a fire is burning on the east bench of Provo near Summit Drive and Ridge Drive. That's an area a little bit southwest of the Y. Multiple fire crews are just arriving on scene now. It's on a hill full of dry grass and relatively close to some homes in the area. All eyes will be on former President Donald Trump's acceptance speech tonight at the Republican National Convention. Co-host of KSL at Night, Adam Gardner, says we don't actually know what Trump will say.
We hope that the message of unity is something that rings true with the delegates, but honestly, whatever President Trump says, the delegates are going to lose their minds and be totally happy.
Gardner says everyone at the convention is very excited. The delegates have been told to be in their seats very early, as it will be standing room only. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. Another big auto recall. This one has to do with the engine.
Hyundai is recalling over 50,000 vehicles with an issue that could interfere with power from the engine. The problem was with the fuel pump in several models, including the Genesis G70, Veloster, Elantra, and Kona models made from 2019 through 2023.
ABC's Sherry Preston reporting. Your money at this moment, things are still in the red. The Dow has lost 256 points. The S&P is down 23 points, and the NASDAQ is off 82 points. Coming up, triple digits again. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 11:32.
News doesn't just mean information or dates.
It's the story of our local history being told in real time.
Be a part of the story. This is Tim Hughes and Amanda Dixon.
We hope to be a part of your story. We have you covered on KSL News Radio.
Jeff Kaplan here with Josh Moore from IWC Roofing. Josh, on our show yesterday, you made a very special offer for our listeners.
$2,000 off an entire roof purchase. It's by far the largest promo that we've ever ran in almost 30 years of business. And in addition to that, we can actually do financing. So not one or the other, but we can combine the two.
So you're going to keep it going an extra day, but why IWC Roofing?
The question is, why not IWC Roofing? We're the highest rated roofing contractor in the state. We've been in business for 30 years, and hands down, because of the volume that we do and this additional promo that we're running, we will get you the best value out there on a new roof purchase, guaranteed.
And they'll do your entire roof in one day. Get $2,000 off, but you have to call today. IWC Roofing, 801-232-5690, 801-232-5690. That's 801-232-5690, or go to iwcroofingutah.com. Thanks, Josh.
You bet. Thanks.
We just want to have enough money for retirement.
And travel to visit our grandchildren.
I understand. That's why at Fisher Investments, we start by getting to know each other, so I can learn about your family, lifestyle, goals and needs, allowing us to tailor your portfolio.
What about commission-based products?
We don't sell those. We're a fiduciary, obligated to act in your best interest.
So how do your management fees work?
We have a simple management fee based on the value of your portfolio. So we do better when you do better.
We appreciate that kind of transparency.
We also check in with you regularly to keep you up to date on the markets and your portfolio.
Well, what other services do you offer?
As a client, you have access to resources on investing, financial planning, estate planning, Social Security, Medicare, and more.
Wow, sounds like Fisher Investments has everything we need.
At Fisher Investments, we're clearly different. Learn more at fisherinvestments.com.
Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
At JCW's, we think tipping might be getting a little out of hand. Like when you're asked to tip at the register before you've even been served, or when you're at the yogurt shop and find yourself serving yourself. And don't even get us started on frosted tips making a comeback. That's why at JCW's, when you pay for a 3rd-pound ranch bacon cheeseburger, that's what you pay. And no one at the register is going to stare longingly at you while you awkwardly maneuver through the tip screen for food you don't even have yet. Honestly, we're just happy to see you at any of our 5 locations in Provo, South Jordan, Lehigh, Harriman, and American Fork. So come on in and enjoy some quality time and great food with family and friends. And we promise, we won't be pushing you for a tip.
Hey, this is Chris with JCW's, and we just want to say thank you, and especially to our loyal customers. We want you to know that at JCW's, your business is all the tip we need. JCW's, quality and a lot of it.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by Sinclair's Dino Pay app. Save up to 20 cents per gallon. Here's Ricky Neese.
Do have an accident called out I-215's east belt, south belt, about 2800 east on the exit ramp. But it looks like so far it's not causing any kind of backups in the area. In fact, we have a delay-free drive on all the Valley freeways. Draper drivers, heads up. We still have crews blocking traffic, working on a traffic light at the intersection of 123rd South and 265 West. Fill up your bucket list in Box Elder County. History, recreation, and wildlife. And excellent dining and shopping await you. Learn more at visitboxeldercounty.com. Sponsored by the Utah Office of Tourism. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
High temperatures that could get to 100 degrees today, and monsoon moisture. Those could combine to have some kind of intense thunderstorms today, and there's flash flood potential in southern Utah this afternoon and this evening. And we don't really get a reprieve. Things are going to dry out and stay hot through the weekend. Right now it's 92 degrees and sunny. I'm Britt Johnson from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com, or Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio.
I'm going to give you 5 warning signs, and parents, these are red flag warnings that your child has been or is in contact with an online predator. The reason we're talking about this today is because what we've been talking about this week with the help of our colleagues at KSL 5 Television who've been covering this story of 20 teen boys who confronted an alleged online predator at Southtown Mall in Sandy.
And despite the fact that police have said, please, do not do this, boys, it's kind of cool. I know it is pretty incredible to see somebody confront a predator like this, or an alleged predator, I should say, and say, you know what? Not here. We're not going to allow this to happen, this kind of behavior. But there is such a danger to this. And as a father, I wouldn't tell my son, don't you dare do something like this. This is why we have police. They take care of this stuff.
So in a few minutes, I'll get to those 5 red flag warnings. So your child is in communication with a creep. And these are going to be things that you're going to want to, in fact, you don't have to write them down. We're going to compile this and we're going to put these at kslnewsradio.com. They're that important. To me, it's that important you know these.
And the reason I'm so interested in this, Debbie, is because if your child is being exploited in some way, they're not going to tell you. They're so embarrassed. They're so scared of getting in trouble. They're so young and immature, or they've been manipulated in such a way. It's important to not just say, oh, well, I've talked to my kids about that, and they said nothing's going on. It's important to look for signs outside of just a direct communication.
Okay, we'll get to that in a moment. In case you didn't know this story, I was like, why are they talking about this? This Southtown Mall situation that happened when 20 teenage boys confront a 49-year-old man who'd allegedly been communicating with a 16-year-old girl, connected over Snapchat. Garner Mejia, KSL 5 Television, has been doing remarkable reporting about this situation.
This video now part of an active investigation into 49-year-old Bryce Stephen Ray, accused of offering a 15-year-old girl up to $700 in exchange for sex. 16-year-old girl? The video, we've blurred the faces of several minors, was posted on TikTok. The incident happened in the parking lot of Southtown Mall in Sandy. Ray allegedly told the girl he'd bring $350 and pay her the rest from a Cash App.
And the kids were harassing him, and they were following him out the doors into the parking lot. In fact, you saw in one part of the video, the teen kicked the man in the leg as he was walking around. He's like, I don't know what you're talking about. Nothing's going on here. This has nothing to do with me.
He's in jail now because police developed enough evidence to arrest him and put him behind bars. And, of course, with the help of our colleagues and friends at KSL 5 Television, we'll keep you posted on the developments on that end of the story. But I want to get to these red flag warnings for parents. And I found one today I found several. There's going to be 5 of them. But this one, I was like, wow. The FBI issued a warning. This story is posted on a website for a TV station in Birmingham, Alabama. And they said, Dave, in a stark warning to parents, the FBI has highlighted a concerning trend. Children chatting with strangers online after 9 p.m. are 75% more likely to be engaging with a child predator.
Wow.
If your
Say that number again.
Yeah.
75%.
Yeah. If your child is chatting with a stranger online, okay, so that could be maybe in a gaming situation. They're online gaming, or they're on their cell phones and they're in, online, maybe on Snapchat. If it's happening after 9 o'clock at night, it's 75% more likely that they're engaging with a child predator.
And now you've ruined all of kids' video game playing after 9 p.m. That's the new number. No more video game playing after 9.
So what I did as a parent is we got to the point where we had our children park their cell phones on the kitchen counter when they went to bed at night. All year long. Summer, school year, weekends. And I've said this before on the air, and I'll say it again. My oldest daughter came to me. She was probably about 16 when we did this. She said, thank you. I didn't realize how much time it was waking me up. I was thinking I have to get back to my friends who were texting me. But we were also doing that to protect them against the creeps who were crawling all over the internet after 9 o'clock at night. So that's tip number 1. We've got 4 more to get to. This comes to us from a website called Micah's Promise, which is based in Georgia. This is a website that puts together tips to protect kids against child trafficking. And I found these tips, and I thought they were really good ones. If your child is receiving gifts, okay, if things are showing up on the front porch, or they come home from school and they have, something that you don't recognize as being theirs, it is likely that a predator is trying to win over your teen by sending them gifts, extra money, anything like that. That is suspicious, parents. That is red flag number 2.
Do you ever check your kid's Venmo account? See where the money's coming from. Do you see, I know your friends. I know who's sending you money. Oh, wait, where did this $100 come from?
It's a great tip. They switch screens or hide their phone when you walk by. Okay. That's a
great example.
Yeah.
Yeah, where they just tilt it ever so slightly away from you. Are you brave enough as a parent to reach in there and say, all right, I'm going to need your phone. Sorry, man, I saw you tilted away from me. I've got to see what's in there.
You be that brave parent in the moment, because what you don't want to be is that parent in crisis when you find out your child has crawled out a window and connected with a child predator in the middle of the night that they've met online. That is not hyperbole, okay? That happens. So be brave in the moment. You're paying for the cell phone, mom and dad. Be the boss of it. They start to withdraw from activities they once loved. So one tactic a predator does is isolate and separate the child from family and friends. They may convince them that their family doesn't understand them, and they love a lonely teenager. They love an isolated teenager. So there's another tip. They start keeping the relationship a secret. So since the predator knows what they're doing is wrong, and I'm reading right from this website, it's great information, they have the child promise to keep their relationship a secret. So if your child is acting strangely and feeling frustrated because you're not allowing them to access their cell phone or whatever communication device they're using, that's because the predator has told them to keep the relationship a secret, but your child thinks, I got to get back to the person who's trying to contact me for some reason.
And when we talk about kids, we're not just talking about 8-year-olds or 10-year-olds or 12. No. This can happen to a 16, 17, 18-year-old or even a kid in their 20s. These are great tips.
The other tip is, and this we may be in the bonus round now, which is great. We want to give you more information. When you search their device, and you need to search their device, you find pornography on their device. Okay, that you have to not only think, some parents may think, oh my goodness, my child is watching porn. It may be sent to them.
Right.
Okay? So don't automatically get in the mindset that your child is out there searching it. They may be. You don't want to bury your head in the sand on that. But it could also be that some creeper out there is sending them that link or those photos. Okay. These are great tips. We need to be absolutely, an army against child predators. Our kids are the most important things on this planet, and we need to protect them because, unfortunately, there are creeps out there who want to get access to them, and that is what the internet has done. It has opened up our homes to these creeps. So these are some tips. These are the red flag warning signs. Please put those to use, parents.
Dave and Dujanovic.
Current events can have a lot of moving parts. Our job is to make it easy to keep up.
You're part of a bigger world, so spend 15 or 20 minutes here and be part of it.
Join us weekday mornings between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
Hey, what are you doing up on the step stool?
About to clean these light fixtures. The whole family's coming over, and if there's even a speck of dust in the house, my abuela will find it.
Here, I got a Swiffer duster to help with that.
A Swiffer what?
A Swiffer duster. It has this cool extendable handle that reaches 6 feet to get high and low, with fluffy dusters that easily trap and lock dust.
So no more step stool?
No more step stool.
Easily trap and lock dust from hard-to-reach places with the Swiffer duster. Love it or your money back.
As a roofer, I'm always on the go, so I need to be able to get things done from anywhere. That's why I partner with Beacon. With the Beacon Pro Plus app, I've got the brands I depend on, like CertainTeed Landmark Pro, right at my fingertips. It's like having my Beacon rep in my pocket 24/7. I rely on Beacon because I never stop building, and neither do they. Now through November, purchase CertainTeed through Beacon Pro Plus and earn up to $750. Beacon. Always building.
A secure retirement just doesn't happen by accident. When that day comes, what's most important to you? Are you sure to have more money than month? What about unexpected medical costs? Do you want to leave something to the kids or the grandkids? I'm Jeff Jr. from Trajan Wealth, and I want you to know we specialize in these questions and can help make your retirement dream a reality with some of the highest guarantees in the business. Imagine getting up to a guaranteed 12% growth on your retirement income and up to a 30% bonus up front just for opening an account. If you have funds sitting idle in an old 401k or IRA, consider guaranteeing it to secure the peace of mind you deserve. Don't leave your financial security to chance. Take advantage of the highest guarantees I've seen in my career. Call Trajan today at 801-899-7600. That's 801-899-7600. Or visit us online at TrajanWealth.com.
Annuity guarantees are based on the claims-paying ability of the issuing insurance company.
Wow. Biden's at it again.
Inflation, rising costs for everything. What now?
Try big government control of our Medicare drug benefit.
The more I hear, the more it seems we can't afford Biden's Medicare agenda.
They're right. And it's because seniors are already feeling the pain of Biden's drug coverage changes, with almost 2 million forced from their plans and spiked premiums for nearly 5 million more. Now, Congress wants to expand the Biden Medicare agenda even more. But studies show Biden's plan will restrict access, shrink coverage, and limit availability of needed drugs for all seniors. Thankfully, Congressman Blake Moore is a champion for Medicare drug coverage. Call him at 202-224-3121. Urge him to stop Biden's radical Medicare changes by opposing H.R. 4895 now. Paid for by Seniors for Better Care.
Any Hour Services can make sure your AC keeps you cool this summer. Whether you need a tune-up, repair, or just a second opinion about replacing it, call Any Hour Services or visit anyhourservices.com.
This is Derek Miller speaking on business. The Utah Days of 47 Rodeo, presented by Zions Bank, takes place at the $17.5 million state-of-the-art Days of 47 Arena at the Utah State Fair Park each July. Executive Director Tommy Joe Lucia joins us with more.
The Utah Days of 47 Rodeo in the heart of Salt Lake City is a must-stop during the summer for your chance to immerse yourself and family into the authentic Pioneer West and make yourself a gold medal memory. The experience includes a fan zone with pony rides, bounce houses, a free petting zoo, and much, much more. Or get your shopping on at our KSL Expo tent. The rodeo boasts of being one of the largest 5-day rodeos in the nations, where contestants run away with lots of money and a chance to win a gold, silver, or bronze medals right during the 2024 Summer Olympic Games being held in Paris. The Utah Days of 47 Rodeo is a gold standard in rodeo, one of Utah's longest standing traditions. The rodeo and the other Days of 47 events commemorate July 24th, 1847, when a determined company of Mormon pioneers realized their dreams upon entering the Great Salt Lake Valley. So join us for a gold medal memory at Utah's Days of 47 Rodeo.
The Utah Days of 47 Rodeo is a time-honored tradition that honors Utah's pioneer heritage and provides education for our community. For more information, visit the Utah Days of 47 Rodeo website. I'm Derek Miller with the Salt Lake Chamber, speaking on business.
With the 3 things you need to know this hour, I'm Britt Johnson. First, a fire is burning on the east bench of Provo near homes and a lot of dry grass. Second, all eyes will be on former President Donald Trump's acceptance speech tonight at the Republican National Convention. Third, Hyundai is recalling over 50,000 vehicles with an issue that could interfere with power from the engine. Right now, it's 92 degrees and sunny in Salt Lake City. Back to Dave and Dujanovic on KSL News Radio.
Dave and Dujanovic. Dave and Dujanovic. Special coverage of the top national story.
And that is the tsunami of Democrats that now seem to be urging, arm twisting, President Biden to drop out of the race, to pull himself off the top of the ticket. The latest is former President Barack Obama and former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi privately expressing concerns about Biden's chance to win in November.
Kelly Meyer joins us from News Nation. Kelly, give us the latest. It sounds to some reporting that maybe President Biden is losing former President Barack Obama's support.
Yeah, it feels with the reporting that is coming in that a lot of people are bracing for this potential President Biden dropping out of the race news to come imminently. That we're hearing from former President Barack Obama, former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, the Democratic leader in the Senate, Chuck Schumer, everybody kind of alluding to private discussions between those leaders and President Biden, or pointing to polling or conversations that show that he cannot win this race, that there is no viable path for him to beat former President Donald Trump. And then their concern is that this could also hurt Democratic races down ballot, meaning that could hurt their chances of taking back the House and hurt their chances of keeping the Senate. So there are a lot of reports out there that the White House right now is trying to really just shut down and say that nothing's changing. Joe Biden is the nominee. He will remain on the ticket. He will win. We've been covering this really all week. The calls seem to have ramped back up. There was a momentary pause with what happened over the weekend and the attempted assassination attempt of former President Trump. But now the calls are coming back in, and we're hearing from very prominent Democrats. We heard publicly from Adam Schiff yesterday, probably the most prominent Democrat so far, to call for him publicly to step down. That was the 20th congressional Democrat so far. And then privately, and more reporting, hearing that Pelosi, Schumer, Obama are doing the same.
Well, this is just my opinion sitting out here in Salt Lake City, Utah, but this all started a few weeks ago after the debate, and then the tsunami started to kind of ramp up, and now it seems like as you said, it's really coming back to life again after this weekend. He's got to make a decision, and so do the Democrats at some point, because we're getting closer and closer to November.
Yeah, and closer to the Democratic National Convention, which comes up in August in Chicago. And you see the Republicans this week and pretty much showing a solidarity and unity in their message and standing behind former President Trump. And it just doesn't seem that way for the Democratic Party, that there are some people that are standing by Biden, but there are people that aren't. And if they go into the convention divided like this, that means that you will have people there trying to challenge potentially his nomination. And then we would see contested, maybe brokered convention. It could just be more chaotic than anybody can imagine. So they're trying to maybe see if he would step aside before that and get the ball rolling into who the next person may be, whether it's VP Harris or someone else. And it seems as though there have been calls for this virtual roll call. They were going to do with the DNC this virtual roll call to try to get the nomination kind of in place before the convention in mid-August. And now there's been calls, too, for that to be pushed back to kind of buy time to, I guess, it's for at least these leaders to potentially convince Biden to step down.
We're speaking with Kelly Meyer with News Nation, Washington correspondent. And Kelly, obviously the heir apparent or the obvious choice would be Vice President Kamala Harris. But is there a sense or rumbling that other people would throw their names, other candidates would want to throw their names into the fray, or would it be a unity ticket or everyone unifying around the vice president?
Yeah, it's so hard to say right now. It seems as though she would be the next obvious choice. She's campaigning today in North Carolina, and she was greeted on the tarmac by the governor there. So a lot of people were kind of eyeing if that would be a VP pick for her, or if another candidate might come up. People are saying Josh Shapiro in Pennsylvania, or a lot of people say Gavin Newsom. And when I met with him and spoke with him after the debate that night, he said Biden's our nominee and was standing by it. But of course, a lot has happened since then, and it's been a couple weeks now, and a lot more calls have come out. So it's unclear just how this would lay out. I think it is certainly unprecedented. So really, anything can happen.
I don't know. I'm almost 60, Kelly. I don't know of a time in my lifetime that I've heard or seen anything like this in a presidential race. So to your point, it's unprecedented. We thank you so much. Tell our friends back at News Nation we appreciate your guys' availability to us. Kelly Meyer with News Nation. She's News Nation's Washington correspondent. And they, of course, are helping us keep an eye on what's the developments are. And just looking up this headline that just crossed in the Washington Post. The headline is Obama tells allies Biden's path to winning re-election has greatly diminished.
And you say it's unprecedented. It certainly at this point of the race, but this happened back with Lyndon Johnson as well. Lyndon Johnson could have run for another term, but he ends up dropping out in March. Now, March and July, it's several months different, but it was still very late in the season. This would be, to say unprecedented, this would be so difficult for Democrats to, number one, have the sitting president step down, and then figuring out who they're going to replace him with, who that person is going to be, who's the vice presidential nominee. And, I mean, there's no question, it would be every headline for months as they're trying to scramble and get everything in order.
Yeah. Okay. So the clock is ticking. How quickly do they got to do this, Dave?
Oh, it's a great question. I mean, it's got to be done before the Democratic National Convention. There's this, and you heard Kelly reference it, there's a roll call. Mm-hmm. Basically how Trump was announced the nominee or nominated on Monday, they're basically going to do the same thing just in a couple weeks from now before the National Convention, but they're trying to push that back. So it's got to be here in the next few weeks.
It's messy for the Democrats, and it's getting very, very curious as well. Maria will have more on that, and is also more information on some very serious charges involving child abuse of a 12-year-old boy here in Utah.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit